Afternoon, welcome. This is Saturday's 5 Live Sport. The Premier League is back and there's a big test for unbeaten West Ham. The champions head to the London Stadium.
The big thing about it is, for me, is we look as if we're going to score goals at the moment. You know, if that continues, then that will give us a great chance of picking up more points.
It's been a testing few weeks for Manchester United.
To set some standards, and that's what I did. Yeah, then it's my job to control the standards. If staff, players or whatever to cross lines, you have to be strong.
They're at home to Brighton. Newcastle are looking for their first win since opening day.
We've played 4 games, we haven't performed well in 1. It's not all bad. I have to retain faith in everything that we do, the group of players we have.
Newcastle Brentford at 5:30, and we'll have all the action at the Rugby World Cup.
Zammit gets it! Lewis Zammit catches it!
Oh, great gas from Bundyaki all the way! Try number 4 for Ireland.
Afternoon then, plenty of Premier League football today. 7 matches in total. West Ham Manchester City is our base at 3 o'clock. Newcastle Brentford is the tea time commentary. At 3 o'clock though, as well as West Ham Manchester City, we've got Manchester United at home to Brighton, Tottenham Sheffield United, Villa Palace, Fulham Luton as well. The early game is at Molineux. We'll go there shortly. We've got Wales and Ireland both in action at the Rugby Union World Cup. Commentary of both of those are on Sports Extra. We're at Wentworth for the PGA, Doncaster for the St Leger, Singapore for the Formula One, and Trent Bridge for the one-day cup final between Leicestershire and Hampshire. That's on the BBC Sport website right now. Our base from 3, West Ham against Manchester City. John Akers in charge this afternoon.
Afternoon, Mark. 2 changes to the Manchester City team that beat Fulham 5-1 before the international break. Ake drops to the bench after playing a game and a half with the Netherlands on international duty. He's replaced by Gvardiol, who could well play left-back. Kovacic has picked up a muscle injury, so Bernardo Silva replaces him in the midfield. And West Ham are unchanged from the team that beat Luton 2-1. Vladimir Sofal has shaken off a knock. He plays. The Greek Mavropanos is on the bench.
Are you following the Ian Dennis tradition? Have you got 27 bags of sweets in front of you ready to go?
I have 1 bag of midget gems. I've undercooked it.
Dear, yeah, blimey. We're going to now bring you our usual goal service. All the goals up and down the country in England and Scotland faster than anywhere else. We're at the London Stadium this afternoon. It's West Ham against Manchester City with Steve Sidwell and John Akers.
Thank you, Mark. Good afternoon from the London Stadium. The game of the weekend is your 3 o'clock game here on 5 Live Sport. 4th versus 1st here at a muggy 26 degrees London Stadium with the bubbles flying into the air. 60,000 in their seats already. We've just seen an extraordinary appearance on the pitch from Paolo Di Canio, West Ham legend, who led I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles. I've never heard an ovation for an ex-player like it, with the claret and blue scarf above his head, dressed impeccably. He looked absolutely brilliant out there, and he lapped it up. He's got this crowd fired up for this meeting of England's 2 current European champions. I'll run you through the team news in just a second. We're about to have a minute's silence as well. But afternoon, Steve, good to have you with us. That was quite something from Di Canio.
It was amazing, wasn't it? Exactly what you'd expect from Paolo Di Canio, a maverick, a genius on the pitch, and still showboating amongst the fans.
So the minute's silence will be for the earthquake in Morocco that we've seen and the floods in Libya. The players standing, linking arms around the centre circle. Our thoughts with those affected by those terrible events this week, including Nayef Aguerd, of Morocco, who was there during the earthquake. His manager said has really felt the effects of that this week. He is in the West Ham starting lineup at centre-back this afternoon. One change David Moyes has made to the team that beat Luton 2-1. Said Benrahma drops to the bench. Thomas Souček starts. His international teammate Vladimir Sofal has shaken off a knock and plays. The Greek defender Mavropanos is on the bench for the first time. And two changes for Manchester City. They have dropped Nathan Ake to the bench. Kovacic is injured, Bernardo Silva comes in, and Gvardiol is going to play at left back as we get underway in the sunshine at the London Stadium with West Ham in their white, in their claret and blue, and Manchester City in their white shirts attacking the goal away to our left, and they are in possession at the back early on. And Steve Sidwell, it'd be interesting to see how this pans out. West Ham United have conceded possession 75% against Chelsea, 78% possession against Brighton, and won both of those games 3-1.
Well, they're obviously in that mode where they're happy to concede possession, sit there, two banks of four, and maybe a Paquetá and Antonio, or they go into a 4-5-1 and just really frustrate and make it hard for the opposition. But they've got to buy into that as individuals, as a team. They need to know when to shift across, shut the spaces, especially against this Man City team that can pick passes out for fun with the talent they've got on array.
Bernardo Silva into the team then for Manchester City, has got possession, puts it out to Doku on the left hand side, and now Silva again into the feet of Akanji. So Manchester City, Ederson in goal, back four right to left, Walker, Diaz, Akanji, Gvardiol, Rodri holding, Erling Haaland up the top, and then Foden, Alvarez, Silva and Doku as Manchester City are in possession on the far side, near the West Ham corner flag on the right hand side. They've got possession midway inside the West Ham half, just knocking the ball about. Now Foden could be in to the byline, chips it back across towards Haaland. A West Ham defender gets in the way, it bounces once and then into the arms of the grateful Areola in the West Ham goal, all in green, and he rolls it out.
Oh, good patient play, wasn't it, from West Ham? Kyle Walker had a few opportunities before to put the ball in, didn't feel it was right, was waiting for that forward lung bursting run that he got from Foden, and then it's about, can you find a spare man in the box? It's very difficult because West Ham are packing that box out, but they do know they've got one of the most feared strikers on the planet in Haaland that doesn't mind the ball being thrown in the box and competing.
No point going anywhere else for your goals this afternoon. We'll bring you each goal as it hits the back of the net. Fastest goal service around, 5 Live Sport from the BBC as West Ham win a free kick just inside their own half. David Moyes in his tracksuit, short sleeves, patrolling the edge of his technical area. Pep Guardiola sitting, just taking a sip of a water bottle after his back surgery. He is back on the bench after watching a couple of games from Spain after that operation. We've got a goal early in the championship at Preston. Shojo Saka.
40 seconds on the clock. Preston 1, Plymouth 0. It's the two new boys. Liam Miller on the left with the cross. Milutin Osmajic with the header. Both on debut. Preston 1, Plymouth 0.
West Ham in possession. Couple of yards inside the Manchester City half. It's a strong challenge from Akanji on Bowen, who's still on the deck. West Ham scrapping for the ball in the centre of midfield. Gvardiol with nice feet, the 21-year-old Croatian, and plays the ball back to Diaz. And now Akanji, Manchester City under a press, have to go back to Ederson, who's in his own 6-yard box, and plays it out to the left-hand side to Diaz, and Bowen continues to press along with Paquetá and Antonio, and Manchester City in deep line possession inside their own half. 0-0, 5 Live. Steve Sidwell's with me.
Really good play there from West Ham, just letting Man City know that they're not just going to sit in the whole time and let them have possession.
First touch for Haaland, nice little ball around the corner towards Foden, and sliding in is Sofal and puts it out for a corner for Manchester City, the first of the game.
Or just saying there that the Man City, West Ham, they're doing the press, letting Man City know that they are going to press them high. If they make a mistake, they will pounce on it, but then you just see there that they are susceptible to being open in that counter-attack.
Corner from the left then for Manchester City. And Alvarez and Foden are standing over it. The referee's gone across, wants a word with Alvarez for some reason. And Swindon are leading Walsall by a 1-0. Charlie Austin has scored there. In comes the corner for Manchester City, headed away by West Ham. Only as far as Kyle Walker wearing the captain's armband for City this afternoon. Here's Bernardo Silva. He's got some space ahead of him. Every West Ham player is behind the ball at the moment. And welcome to those listeners around the world listening on BBC World Service, where it's 0-0 between West Ham United and Manchester City. 5 minutes gone. Manchester City have had most of the play so far. They've got into a good position with Foden down the right to the byline, but they couldn't get the ball to Haaland. Here's Doku for Manchester City, going down the left-hand side, attacking Sofal, plays it back, finds Rodri. Rodri gets it out from under his feet to find Walker. 5 Manchester City players in the penalty area, including Walker. He's forced back to Rodri again. Now Gvardiol, lovely feet from him. Good strong challenge though from Antonio, who's back there defending. Only as far as Diaz, 20 yards inside the West Ham half centre field. Rodri plays the ball to the right. Akanji switches the play. Doku's got a little bit of space ahead of him here. Little drag over. He's gone down the outside of Sofal. Nice little cross into the penalty area, and Zuma has to head it behind for a corner again for Manchester City.
Again, what we're used to with Man City, patient build-up play, using every part of this pitch, trying to stretch this West Ham team from side to side, and can they just create that half a yard for the wingers to a little bit of quality into the box.
Corner for Manchester City from the left. Foden with 2 arms in the air. In it comes, floated to the far post, free header, good save from Areola, only as far as Foden whips it back across. Another chance for City. Rodri off the line by West Ham, and a tip over the bar from the following header. Another corner for City. How have West Ham capped that out?
Well, relentless there, wasn't it, from Man City? A quality ball in the box from Foden, a 3-header out the back, straight from the training ground routine. Foden picks up the pieces, puts another ball in. It's another strike. There's so many bodies in the box. Gets cleared off the line from Harden onto Souček, and then goes over from a great save from Areola again.
Well, Rodri was allowed 3 goes at it. A header, a scuff shot, came back to him. Another shot comes off Haaland, and great reactions from the goalkeeper. Corner for City again, right hand side. In it comes, near post. Might fall for Doku on the edge of the penalty area. He wins a header. Haaland tries an overhead. West Ham win a challenge. Akanji and then Gvardiol go down. It's a goal kick for West Ham United, and we'll get an update from Manchester United versus Brighton with John Bennett.
Marcus Rashford has come close for Manchester United, dancing into the box, forcing a good save from Jason Steele. United playing a diamond formation with Højlund and Rashford up front, Fernandes just behind them. Manchester United 0, Brighton 0.
West Ham 0, Manchester City 0, and City in pretty relentless possession at the moment. West Ham in 2 banks of 4, defending deep. In fact, it's like a 6 and a 4 if I'm honest, and the ball's floated out of play. First misplaced pass really we've had from City in the game, and it is a goal kick for West Ham, and they can breathe, Steve Sidwell.
Oh, what a tempo. Man City have just come out the trap flying into this game. I think they know that it's going to be a hard one when West Ham get behind the ball and make it hard for them. They need to just keep sticking to their plan and keep moving the ball, but they want to get that early goal that makes West Ham then change their game plan, maybe come out and search for that press.
In the Scottish Premiership, Kilmarnock 0, Hibernian 1, an own goal. Rodri for Manchester City with possession in the centre circle, just inside the West Ham half. Nice ball into the feet of Bernardo. Lovely turn from Silva. He plays the ball out to the left to Doku. Up against Sofal again. This is going to be an interesting battle this afternoon. Back to Gvardiol on his left foot. Lovely feet. Gets in a cross. Blocked though by West Ham. Only as far as Doku on the left again. Left hand touchline. Is he fouled? No. It's going to be a free kick for West Ham United. And the manager Pep Guardiola is out on the edge of his technical area. Didn't like that decision.
Looks sharp, doesn't he, Doku? Started lively, getting plenty of the ball, trying to attack Sofal. It's going to be an interesting battle, as you say, John.
A 21-year-old, signed from Rennes, £55 million. City in possession. Gvardiol out to Doku again on the left-hand side. Haaland on the edge of the box wants it. Doku goes though into the feet of Haaland, comes off a West Ham defender, back to Doku. First touch lets him down, and West Ham clear their lines deep into the Manchester City half, where Ederson comes out of his goal, all in lime green, and gets the ball out the right hand side for Kyle Walker. with his sweatband on, stands on the ball near the edge of the 18-yard box. One touch passing from City. 0-0. 5 Live Sport from the BBC. More Premier League commentaries than anyone else, and on BBC World Service. Alvarez in possession. And now into the feet of Guardiola. He's playing so far forward from left back, filling into that midfield. And Ederson, the only player inside the Manchester City half at the moment. That's good break-up play though. It's well done from James Ward-Prowse in the centre of midfield. One possession, drew the free kick. Free kick for West Ham midway inside their own half centre field.
Well, he's been a great signing, hasn't he? Fitted in with these in this West Ham side. Again, one that will buy into this model of not having much of the ball, knowing that when he gets a chance on set pieces that he will deliver.
West Ham in possession. Ward-Prowse out of play, throwing. Goal at Gillingham, Chris Temple.
We mentioned their propensity to win 1-0. Well, they've gone one up inside 9 minutes here. George Lapsley knocked down to him from a corner, controlled and finished inside the 6-yard box. Gillingham 1, Morecambe 0.
0-0 here. Manchester City have got possession back, and Haaland gets the ball just inside the West Ham half. Plays it out onto the right-hand side. Bernardo cuts onto his left foot. Little back heel, tries to find Walker, but read that well there, Paquetá. And he's in possession deep in his own half, left-hand side, and we'll get an update from across London. Let's go then to Spurs Sheffield United. John Southall.
Tottenham 0, Sheffield United 0. Sheffield United started well. Ollie McBurney's just had a shot blocked by his own player, Pape Sarr, for Tottenham. 20-yarder held by Foderingham to his right-hand side. Tottenham 0, Sheffield United 0.
West Ham with a throw deep in their own half, and West Ham haven't had much joy in this fixture. 15 Premier League matches without a win against Manchester City. Haven't beaten them here. But they are in possession down the right-hand side with Sofal into the feet of Bowen. Some rare territory this early on for West Ham. 11 minutes gone with no goals, and Sofal's gone on the overlap up against Guardiola. The ball was played into Sofal in an offside position, so it's going to be a free kick for Manchester City.
Man City just getting the ball down, playing early. It's as though Pep Guardiola has gone to them. Listen, we want to move this West Ham team, get them chasing us. This heat, I mean, it's hot enough up here in the stands, and we're a million miles away from this pitch, so it's a few degrees hotter down there, and they want to really get them testing them fitness levels for that West Ham team.
Here's Doku, left-hand side, one-on-one against Sofal. Decides not to go down the outside of him. Inside it goes to Guardiola, and then Rodri, and then Bernardo. Out on the right-hand side is Walker. Foden peels off, wants a short one. Good challenge goes in, and West Ham win possession in the left-back spot with Emerson. So the West Ham back four then, they've got Areola in goal, then Sofal, Zuma, Aguerd and Emerson the back four, with Alvarez and Souček who are going to hold with Ward-Prowse, Paquetá, Bowen and Antonio. West Ham in possession, deep lying possession inside their own half. Another goal at Gillingham, Chris Temple.
It will not finish 1-0 to Gillingham today, John, because Morecambe have equalised. Michael Mellon with a lovely lofted finish as he was played in down the inside left over the advancing goalkeeper, bouncing into the right hand side of the goal. Gillingham 1, Morecambe 1.
Throw in for West Ham United. They seem to have weathered a bit of a storm here, Steve. Very fast start from Manchester City.
Fast start from Man City. It feels as though when West Ham do break it up, they're just trying to take the sting out of the game, disguise the flow and the pattern of Man City, but once they regain possession, they're looking to get the ball down and play. They need to just keep this West Ham team moving. When they get patient and sloppy on the ball, that's what West Ham want. They want to have their rest out of possession. They're fine with that.
Rodri striding forward through the middle with the ball, checks and goes left to Guardiola, but Sofal has read that really well and has intercepted, and he's galloping forward for West Ham over the halfway line. Antonio's first touch lets him down. Rodri gets it, plays it out on the left to Alvarez. Alvarez moving forward with the ball, gets to Doku, and then back it goes to Rodri, and now Bernardo. This is 35 yards from the West Ham goal, with all of the West Ham players behind the ball that have been practicing this in the shape all week. West Ham, since the players returned from international duty. Doku with a nice ball. Guardiola, low cross, Haaland! Oh, he's missed it. It was offside anyway, I think. Or was that for a goal kick? but that's a big miss from Erling Haaland, the man you don't expect to miss.
Well, we normally see him put this in the back of the net, that net bulging. Again, Man City using the width. It's Doku on this left-hand side, and it's drilled across the box. He's onside. It goes for about 3 or 4 West Ham players. He's not expecting it to come to him. West Ham should deal with it, but it finds a way right the way through the penalty box. And Haaland there is lurking on the back post and just sort of drags his shot wide of the goal.
I was just expecting the net to bulge. Once it found its way through to him on his left foot, 6 yards out, don't expect him to miss those. West Ham have possession at the other end. Here goes Bowen. Challenge goes in. Corner. We will nick to Villa Palace and Katie Smith.
Yeah, it's Villa 0, Palace 0. A couple of half chances though for Moussa Diaby down the right hand side. Slipped the ball by Cash. That one ricocheted away. And then a lovely ball overhead, salvaged on the byline by Johnson. In goal for Palace, 0-0.
Scottish Premiership. Hearts 1, Aberdeen 0. Wycombe 1, Blackpool 0. Sam Vokes has scored there. The atmosphere has just cranked up a notch here at the London Stadium because West Ham have their first corner. Bowen's over it. So is James Ward-Prowse. This is what they would have talked about all week. Set pieces and on the break. Let City have it and then be clinical from this kind of situation. We've had 2 arguments so far in this game about where the ball's placed in the quadrant from the corner. Just part of the ball's got to be overlapping the white line. Looks like it is to me.
Yeah, I mean, we had one, didn't we, with Man City when they did it. We can see it on our screen here. Definitely.
In it comes. It's not a great delivery. Oh, and it's flicked on at the near post. And then there was a clear sight of it by Alvarez at the far post, but I don't know whether it came off a Man City head. It clearly didn't because it's a goal kick to Manchester City. I thought it had gone out. And Alvarez at the far post after a really good flick from Souček. Is this a bad miss?
I mean, it was whipped in, wasn't it, with real venom and pace from Gerard Bowen, and Man City don't really deal with it, and it was just a ricochet, wasn't it, that found its way to Aguerd, but he couldn't direct it into goalwards.
Fleetwood 0, Oxford United 1. Stan Mills has scored there in the Championship. Queen's Park Rangers lead Sunderland by a goal to nil. Here it's 0-0 after 16 minutes. 5 Live and BBC World Service. Fastest goal service around. West Ham have come close from a set piece. Guardiola just did enough at the far post. And City are in possession, deep in their own half. West Ham put the press on.
You are right though, in terms of they can concede possession and they know on the counter-attacks or when they get into that final third, any fouls with the dead balls, with what the James Ward-Prowse possesses on them, deliveries and set pieces, they would have worked tirelessly on them all weekend, knowing that they might be the only chances they get to score. And on the flip side, Man City again defending them because they know that they are susceptible to conceding goals today.
City, top of the league, 4 out of 4 in possession. Bernardo Silva, Akanji. Earlier it was Wolves 1, Liverpool 3. Gakpo, Robertson, and an own goal after Hwang had given them the lead. Here's a shot from Doku, but it's tame and it's into the arms of Areola. Put it through the legs of the defender, but it was straight at him. West Ham have possession. Let's get an update then from Fulham versus Luton. Henry Moran.
Still goalless, but hard to overstate quite how dominant Fulham are in this game. Virtually everything being played in Luton's half. Feels like a matter of time before that clear-cut chance arrives. Fulham 0, Luton 0.
West Ham in possession inside their own half. 2 assists, by the way, for Salah in that Liverpool win over Wolves. The Fantasy 606 podcast. If you are playing FPL this season, Chris and Dave and Ali, it's available every Thursday via BBC Sounds, and we are live on BBC Sounds. And West Ham are in possession, charging over halfway. Manchester City defend well, get the ball back to their goalkeeper Ederson. They've got it left-hand side, midway inside their own half with Guardiola, who's so cool and calm. He just doesn't look 21, does he? With that full beard, his frame, it's massive, isn't he?
Well, him and Doku have just seemed to just fitted into this starting 11 with effortless ease. And obviously Rodri there doing all the hard yards there, picking up the pieces and then giving it to the players that have got the flair that can go and win the game.
Rodri standing on the ball, and West Ham just saying, yeah, you can have it. Doku on the left-hand side, up against Sofal. Bowen goes across to help him. Doku has to go backwards. Bernardo, he's only 25 yards from goal. To Rodri, just a short 5-yard square pass back to Bernardo. Stands on the ball. West Ham staying in their shape really well at the moment, trying to frustrate Manchester City, who've got him behind properly once, and Haaland's missed a good chance as well. Foden got to the byline, then the chance for Haaland, and West Ham with that one chance from a corner, a header at the far post which went wide. 0-0. City in possession. Here's Foden with the shot, wide. Goal at Old Trafford. John Bennett.
The problems mount up for Manchester United. Manchester United 0, Brighton 1, and it's a goal for a former United player, Danny Welbeck. Low cross from the right hand side, tapped it in just outside the 6-yard box. Man United 0, Brighton 1.
What a season Brighton are having, and Manchester United in trouble again, Steve.
Well, they are, yeah. What a take there was from Phil Foden, though. That's the gaps that he wants to get in between the defence and the midfield. Great take on his back foot.
Corner for Manchester City. The Foden shot took a deflection. In it comes, headed down by Diaz, bouncing around in the West Ham penalty area. Overhead kick clearance by West Ham United. They're in possession with Rodri, Manchester City. Now it's with Foden, who's 35 yards from goal. Switches the play from right to left. It's a lovely ball to Doku. Sofal shows him the outside again, and Doku puts a ball into the penalty area low, went inside, cleared away partially by West Ham, but only as far as Guardiola. Now there's some space for Bernardo Silva on the angle of the penalty area. In comes a whip cross, header from Diaz, who'd stayed forward, but it's just bounced up into the arms of the goalkeeper. Let's get an update from the Rugby World Cup. Samoa, Chile, Sarah Orchard.
Yeah, Pool D, 2 of the opponents that England are yet to face. It's Samoa 29, Chile 10, and this second half is all about the Samoans on 49 minutes. They managed to go over twice. The last one there was by back rower Fritz Lee, really exerting their power. Samoa 29, Chile 10.
Antonio in possession, powering down the left for West Ham. Cross comes in, blocked. Another corner for West Ham United. Huddersfield 1, Rotherham 0. Dundee United ahead against Morton. MK Dons 0, Stockport 1. And as we told you, Manchester United 0, Brighton 1. Danny Welbeck. Corner here, only 15 minutes till the St Leger at Doncaster. John Hunt.
So much World Cup talk in the rugby about the national anthems. They should have been at Doncaster to see how it's done. The King and the Queen both here to see Desert Hero in the St Leger, and they just got a most rousing reception from the 30,000 crowd. Jockey's now out. Tom Markand shakes hands with the royal couple, and the Leger is now just 10 minutes away.
Corner for West Ham. In it comes from James Ward-Prowse. Good delivery. Header clear from Manchester City, but only as far as Bowen. Lovely little cushion header into his path. Kyle Walker is strong by the corner flag. This is an interesting little tussle, which Bowen has won, and then he goes down. Is he fouled? The West Ham fans think he was, but no free kick, says Andrew Madley, the referee. And then a long ball out of defence from Manchester City, cleared out of play for a throw for City by West Ham. Pep Guardiola's got the ball under his arm, and Manchester City will have a throw 5 yards inside the West Ham half.
It did look like there was a slight nudge there from Kyle Walker. We'll look at the replay now on Gerard Bowen. And wanted a free kick. No, maybe nothing in that one. We're too far away. That's my excuse for that one.
I think we're about a quarter of a mile from the centre spot or something like that, or from the far side of the pitch.
It's really interesting because when West Ham were back in numbers, Antonio was back in that sort of midfield line as well, having everyone behind the ball. Now he's sort of stepping up and getting on the halfway line, just making Diaz or Akanji just defend. So he's isolating them. So if they do win the ball, West Ham, they have got an outlet. They can get the ball to him, and then it's down to him. Can he pin the defender, hold the ball up, wait for reinforcements to come and support?
Manchester City in familiar forward possession with Akanji at the moment. Lincoln 0, Carlisle 1 in League One. In comes the cross into the penalty area, looking for Alvarez, but just dribbles out of play. It's a West Ham goal kick. Let's get another update from Spurs Sheffield United. John Southall.
Good game this, John. It's 0-0, but chance for Sheffield United. James McAtee, 12 yards out, saved by the keeper, by the feet of the keeper Vicario. For Tottenham, Basuma and Son and Maddison have all gone close. Tottenham 0, Sheffield United 0.
And in League One, it's Reading 0, Bolton 1. Dion Charles has scored there for Bolton. And West Ham are in possession on the halfway line. Pep Guardiola in his black t-shirt and his beige cargos stands hands on hips. Says the surgeon's done a good job on his back and he's recovering okay. As Antonio, lovely little turn there. This is a good battle as well. He's up against Akanji on the far side, Antonio, and he's still in possession, drifting towards the edge of the penalty area. He'll toe in from a City player in white, and they might well be able to spring the trap here with Doku. Lovely pace into the feet of Haaland. They're coming away over halfway here with Alvarez. Alvarez checks, goes back. We have had a goal again at Priestfields. Gillingham, Chris Temple.
Yes, Gillingham solving all their goal scoring problems in the first 23 minutes here, John. They lead Morecambe 2-1. A lovely finish from Conor Mahoney just inside the penalty area, inside right, wrapping his left foot round it into the top left corner. Gillingham 2, Morecambe 1.
In League 2, Crawley 0, Tranmere 1's the latest. In League 1, Barnsley 1, Burton 0. Devante Cole has scored. Manchester City in possession, midway inside the West Ham half with Bernardo. Centre field once again, little back heel for Alvarez. Alvarez to Rodri. West Ham behind the ball, and now Doku. What can he provide on the left? There are 4 City players waiting in the penalty area for a cross. He's up against Sofal. It's another corner. Gillingham, I've given that one. Wrexham 1, Grimsby 0, and Peterborough 1, Leyton Orient 0. Latest scorelines. Fastest goal service, 5 Live and BBC World Service. It's another corner for West Ham, for Manchester City rather. We've had 26 minutes, no goals at the London Stadium. West Ham 0, Manchester City 0. Phil Foden puts his right arm in the air, and it comes left-footed, high, poor corner. It's gone out, it's curved out of play. According to the assistant on the far side, it's a goal kick for West Ham.
Well, that will be a delight there for the West Ham players, get another breather in. But just watching this and how they're setting up West Ham, they're so fixated on Haaland, especially the 2 centre halves, Zuma and Aguerd, and then Alvarez, James Ward-Prowse, Souček. They're so worried about where Haaland is. He actually creates the space for the likes of Alvarez and Foden to create and to get in there and exploit.
Manchester City in possession inside their own half. Let's get an update from Fulham Luton. Henry Moran.
Very nearly a goal for Luton. Good work down the right hand side. Cross came in. Jacob Brown's header rattling the post. Very close for Luton. Fulham 0, Luton 0.
And straight to Deepdale in the Championship. Preston Plymouth goal.
Preston 2, Plymouth 0. What a debut for Liam Miller. Plymouth giving the ball away in midfield. Counter-attack. Liam Miller into the box. Cool finish. Preston 2, Plymouth 0.
Thank you, Shojo. Free kick for Manchester City, left-hand side. 0-0. 27 minutes of the game gone. West Ham in 4th. The win at Luton last time. That 3-1 win at Brighton. Chelsea, they beat 3-1 here with similar possession stats to what we're seeing so far. It's well up into the high 70s for Manchester City at the moment, but they've been so good on the break this season. Akanji into Rodri. Nice little ball through to Foden. Tries to find Haaland. Haaland in the penalty area. Puts in a shot left-footed. Blocked by West Ham. The recycled ball comes back for City. Rodri urged to shoot by the Manchester City supporters. Rodri still going and puts in the shot right-footed. And it's comfortable for Areola in the end. Just falls on it to his right-hand side.
Well, that's the moment there when Phil Foden gets in that little pocket, just about 5 yards outside the 18-yard box, and gets on that half turn. Haaland is on the go. He is looking to be fed in. He's creating them little half yards for them playmakers to get on it, and then can they find him? And if they can, which they've done there, can he get half a yard to get his shot off? Good defending there from the West Ham centre-backs.
League 1, Fleetwood 0, Oxford 2, Billy Bowden. Throw in for West Ham, midway inside the City half. Right-hand side, and we'll get an update from Sheffield Wednesday versus Ipswich in the Championship. Chris Coles.
Good game, but goalless. Ipswich the better as their lofty position suggested they would be. Freddie Ladapo squandering their best chance, firing straight at the goalkeeper from 8 yards. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Ipswich 0.
And in League 2, MK Dons 1, Stockport 1, with West Ham United in comfortable possession deep in their own half. David Moyes won't be too unhappy with this start, will he?
If I'm honest, I think they've done really well. There's going to be times where this game is going to ebb and flow, and it's going to turn into a basketball, and it's going to stretch the pitch, and that's when the West Ham players can get on the ball and try and pick a pass, but also their concentration levels have to be absolutely at their peak throughout the game.
West Ham with Bowen going down the right hand side, still going Bowen towards the edge of the penalty area, puts in a low cross but can't find James Ward-Prowse, the West Ham number 7 who was making the run, and Manchester City are back in possession on this muggy afternoon. West Ham playing at 3 o'clock on a Saturday for the first time since February, and I was surprised to hear John Murray needing a coat a little bit earlier on where he is, because it is absolutely sweltering here. 26 degrees, Steve.
Well, it's London, that's what it's all about. It's one of them. I've been fortunate enough on my travels, playing up and down the country, and the further you do go up north or further down south, it can get a little bit chilly. But a real good tempo to this game. The fans are getting involved as well. It's building a bit of atmosphere. West Ham are giving it a go and counter-attacking at pace when they can, and Jarrod Bowen there putting a delightful ball in, just couldn't get other players on the same wavelength.
West Ham are in possession, long ball from a free kick. Bowen wins the header. Antonio bundled over, and Ruben Diaz and him, I think, have clashed heads here because Diaz is rubbing his head. Meanwhile, Phil Foden's in possession. The referee, Andy Madley's going to have to stop this. 2 players nursing head injuries at the moment then out there. Let's get an update from Norwich versus Stoke City in the Championship. Aaron Paul.
Norwich 0, Stoke 0, end-to-end here, but it's Norwich who have had the better of the opportunities. Gabriel Sara and Christian Fasnacht with some early sights of goal, but Ashley Barnes will be furious at himself for missing a tap-in from yards out. It's Norwich 0, Stoke 0.
Yeah, players getting treatment and taking on some liquids here. 31 minutes gone. West Ham 0, Manchester City 0. Edson Alvarez down there on the sidelines. His flight was delayed coming back from Mexico, where he played in 2 draws against Australia and Uzbekistan, signed for 32 million from Ajax, and he looks really good in there. Looks a player, doesn't he?
He looks like a West Ham player, doesn't he? Someone that's going to get in there, read the game really well, win possession for his team, turnover, gets forward as well, supports the play, great energy. And I think he's a real good find, and fair play to David Moyes, because when that Declan Rice money come in, it wasn't spent as soon as the West Ham fans wanted it to be. He was patient and waited for the right players to come up, and they've got a real good squad now that can contest in Europe and the league.
City in possession with Kyle Walker. In comes the cross from the right hand side, headed away by West Ham only as far as Rodri, and now Bernardo Silva into Rodri. Here's Guardiola, centre of midfield at the moment. He joins in from left back. Ake on the bench as one of 2 changes for City today. Here's Walker on the right hand side. He's got a chance to cross. He's got movement ahead of him from Haaland and Foden, and West Ham are patient, and they manage to get the ball back, and Antonio sprints towards the halfway line and feeds Bowen down the right hand side. This is a useful little counter here from West Ham, but he's only got help at the moment from James Ward-Prowse. Manchester City are back in numbers, but West Ham have held on to it with Sofal and then Souček and then Paquetá, who of course was chased by Manchester City in the final days of the transfer window. And West Ham in possession. We've got a goal. Villa versus Palace. Katie Smith.
And it's gone to the home side. Aston Villa 1, Crystal Palace 0. Moussa Diaby, a lovely ball overhead, slots it home inside the area. It looked very, very close in terms of offside calls. I wouldn't be surprised if we see this one checked, but as it stands, Villa 1, Palace 0.
West Ham 0, Manchester City 0 here. 12 minutes plus added time to the break. Edison under a little bit of pressure. Colchester 1, Mansfield 0 in League 2. Joe Taylor has scored there. West Ham in possession deep in their own half. Let's get an update from Old Trafford. Manchester United versus Brighton. John Bennett.
United so close to an equaliser. It's Manchester United 0, Brighton 1, but Marcus Rashford has hit the woodwork. His shot deflected. He's picked up an injury in the process. Brighton still leading though. Manchester United 0, Brighton 1.
Blackburn leading Middlesbrough. Zmodics has scored there, and Wimbledon leading Crewe by a goal to 0 in League 2, and West Ham in deep lying possession in their own half. So Villa leading Palace. Fulham and Luton is 0-0. It's 0-0 here between West Ham and Manchester City. No goals yet. Tottenham versus Sheffield United. West Ham with a Long ball forward towards Antonio. West Ham still in possession inside the Manchester City half and playing it around quite nicely. Sold a bit short there, Zuma had to sprint towards the ball. Paquetá picks it up. Let's get news then of that goal for Blackburn then. Let's go to Blackburn, and at Ewood Park is Nesta McGregor.
Yeah, and a fine goal it was. Hayden Carter, the Rovers at centre-back, picked up the ball on the halfway line. No one closed him down, so on he went before a lovely through pass to Sammy Smodics, who from about 17 yards out shot across the keeper into the bottom of the net. The home side lead 1-0.
We've just had a shot from James Ward-Prowse here, deflected into the arms of Edison, the Manchester City goalkeeper, after a lovely run forward by Paquetá. Steve Sidwell?
It was Emerson, it was driving forward on that left-hand side, and the Man City defenders just kept them retreating, managed to find a pass to James Ward-Prowse about 20 yards out. You could see he was trying to just drill it across goal into that far corner, took a deflection that just took the sting out of it, back into Edison's arms, but real good intent here from West Ham. They've on the front foot now.
Here goes Sofal. This is a good break from West Ham. He's got some help. It's James Ward-Prowse, and he scored! And West Ham United lead at the London Stadium, which erupts. It's just arms and legs. What a scoreline. Diving header, and Manchester City are hit on the break. They trail 1-0.
Well, we just said that West Ham were on the front foot, and there was going to be moments in this game where they're going to get time and space, and can they make it count? And yes, they can. They turn over the play, and it's a great run down this right-hand side from Sofal. And just like a few weeks ago against Brighton away with Ward-Prowse, with the energy levels, gets in the box, but it's all about the delivery. Can Sofal find him in the box unmarked? The answer is yes. And then the header, just to purchase it in the back of the net past Edison. Really cool, calm, cultured there finish from Ward-Prowse.
Involved in 9 goals in his last 8 Premier League appearances. The golf swing by the corner flag. West Ham lead. News of that goal that Villa scored against Palace. Has it been disallowed, Katie Smith?
Yeah, chalked off. We are back to 0-0. It was given to Moussa Diaby, but I said it was marginal. We had a VAR check, a couple of toes offside. We are back to 0-0 here at Villa Park.
And we've got a goal as well in League One. Stevenage Charlton, Charlie Slater.
Stevenage have it top of League One. Stevenage 1, Charlton 0. Not the start Michael Appleton would have wanted in his first match in charge. Jamie Reid along the byline, across the keeper into the far corner. His 6th of the season. Stevenage 1, Charlton 0.
Alvarez with a deflected shot for Manchester City, edge of the penalty area. And West Ham United have it comfortably with their goalkeeper Areola. 8 minutes plus added time to half-time. West Ham 1, Manchester City 0.
Well, Areola has the ball there, and you can see David Moyes already telling his team to get up the pitch, not to just sit on this 1-0 lead. He still wants them to have the same game plan, defensively, be tight, consolidate, but when we can get up the pitch, use them yards and make his team get furthest away from his own goal as possible.
It's a free kick for Manchester City, and the home support didn't like that. It's about 35 yards from goal, and it's dead centre. Forest Green 0, Doncaster 1 in League 2, and Peterborough 1, Leyton Orient 1. Omar Beckles in League 1. You're up to date on 5 Live with your fast goal service. We've got a game on here at the London Stadium, because despite all of their possession, West Ham United lead by a goal to 0. It was a sweet finish, wasn't it, from James Ward-Prowse? He had to watch it all the way. Yeah. Who doesn't love a diving header?
Well, we said at the opening of the show that what a signing he's been for West Ham. Someone that's just going to buy into the culture, and you can see if he performs at the levels that he's done in previous seasons, these fans are really going to take to him, and he could go on to become a real West Ham legend.
Pep Guardiola has never lost to West Ham United since he's been the City manager. City have this free kick then, 35 yards from goal. There are 4 in the wall and what looks like a charger on the end. Bernardo Silva's over it. Doesn't look to me like he's going to shoot. It's only him there. Now he's on his right foot. I think this is going to be a short one. Let's wait and see. It's switched to the right-hand side. Short. Alvarez slips as he's crossing it. And that didn't work. But he's got the ball back here, Alvarez, for City. And he drifts it in left-footed. It's cleared away. A header only as far as Gvardiol. Gvardiol by the corner flag, and he's battling for the ball. And West Ham, I think, have won a free kick. They have. It's time to go racing on 5 Live Sport to Doncaster and the St Ledger with John Hunt.
And John, the St Ledger this year brimful of potential big stories. The King and Queen here to see their runner Desert Hero, who has jumped away towards the back of the 9-strong field. They're through the first half mile already of the St Ledger. It's a 1.75 mile race, this final classic. So real royalty against racing royalty. Frankie Dettori has his final British classic ride here, and he's on board Arrest. Many of you remember that was the horse that Dettori rode in the Derby this year unsuccessfully, and he is just a front of Desert Hero at the moment. But as the early order is maintained, Denmark, one of 4 runners in the race trained by Aidan O'Brien, leads narrowly from Gregory. Gregory was the horse that was spurned by Dettori. He had to make a choice, Dettori, between Gregory and Arrest. He chose Arrest. Gregory, a top class horse though as well, he's in 2nd place at the moment. Chess Piece, one of the outsiders, sitting in 3rd place under James Doyle. Then comes Alexandropoulos, who is the rank outsider. Behind him is Arrest, Dettori's horse, a little bit keen, and then comes Desert Hero with King Charles III and Queen Camilla watching on from the grandstands. They got the strongest reception from the 30,000 crowd here. They were relaxed, happy, chatting with punters. Really was a happy scene, and the real royal couple certainly overshadowed racing royalty then. Dettori almost forgotten in the build-up to the race here. Further back, Middle Earth, another of the John Gosden 3 runners. He sits towards the rear. He keeps company there with Tower of London, who is just about last of all, and Continuous, who in theory is the main player from the Aidan O'Brien quartet. He is now just ahead of Middle Earth, racing along in 6th or 7th place. They begin the turn for home then, the final classic of the season here in Great Britain. The St Ledger, less than half a mile left to go. Gregory leads as Denmark now comes under pressure. Alexandropoulos looks as though he's going to drop away as well. Dettori makes his move on Arrest. Satellite down the outside. Meanwhile, the royal runner Desert Hero just behind him with a little bit of work to do. Now Gregory leads narrowly. Here comes Continuous, a strong sayer. He now hits the front. Dettori's in 2nd on Arrest. He's followed by Tower of London. Desert Hero's into 4th place, but with more work to go. And it's Continuous who strides on here for Aidan O'Brien. Dettori still 2nd on Arrest, but he's 2 or 3 lengths away. Back in 3rd place is Tower of London. Desert Hero is next. He's staying on strongly, but the party pooper at Doncaster is Continuous. Continuous has won the St Ledger for a 7th time for Aidan O'Brien. Dettori 2nd on Arrest, and Desert Hero for King Charles III and Queen Camilla back in 3rd place. Continuous has won the Ledger as we take you back to the London Stadium.
Thank you, John. The master beautifully described as City come forward. Low cross, blocked by West Ham. Corner, West Ham 1, Manchester City 0 on 5 Live. 3 minutes plus added time to the break. And Erling Haaland's just had one cleared off the line. Steve Sidwell.
There was another bit of brilliance down the left-hand side from Doku. He fires a ball literally about 2 yards out. It's Haaland at the far post again. Again, it goes past a number of West Ham players. He just doesn't get the purchase on it to get in the back of the net.
Corner for West Ham, for Manchester City, rather swung in. Doku gets it on the edge of the penalty area. It's a side foot volley, but he doesn't get much power in it, and West Ham managed to get possession back. Paquetá up against Alvarez, and Alvarez wins it for Manchester City. That's a nice cross. Ruben Diaz was waiting to pull the trigger with a volley, but it's nipped off his foot by a West Ham head, and City are in possession inside the West Ham United half. Once again, Newport 1, Barrow 0 in League 2. Also Wimbledon 2, Crewe 0. And let's get you to Manchester United then against Brighton. John Bennett's there.
United thought they'd equalise. It's still United 0, Brighton 1. It was Rasmus Højlund who found the net, but the cross from Marcus Rashford just went out of play before he connected with the ball. It's Manchester United 0, Brighton 1.
Rodri sees his shot go wide of Areola's right-hand post, and it is a goal kick for West Ham United. West Ham 1, Manchester City 0.
I think he's got every right there to have the shot, Rodri, because West Ham there retreat so much, and it's not all about just picking that pass. How many times have Rodri scored sublime finishes from outside the box? He's He's got that in his armoury that he can either rifle one in the back of the net, or he can just pick a curling shot into the corner. So it's just to let this West Ham team know that if you're going to give him a few yards, he can score goals.
In League 2, Ryan Delaney's been sent off for Newport, who are down to 10. Can Manchester City find an equaliser before half-time here at London Stadium in the sunshine? West Ham have got everyone back behind the ball. They've scored a goal on the break. It would have been the plan. A diving header from James Ward-Prowse. Akanji into the feet of Bernardo Silva. Switches the play to Doku, who's up against Sofal. Corner of the penalty area, goes to the byline, stands on the ball, gets it back to Guardiol. They've got 5 in the middle here. Manchester City, in comes the cross, headed up in the air by West Ham United. Second ball is won by Manchester City. It's still not clear. Chance for Foden, who strikes it. Comes off a West Ham defender. It's out for a corner. Goal, Norwich Stoke, Aaron Paul.
Norwich 1, Stoke 0. This has been coming. A poor Mehdi Lloris clearance, just bundled in at the back post by Jack Stacey. Norwich have the lead. Norwich 1, Stoke 0.
2 minutes of added time at the end of the first half. Manchester City pushing for an equaliser. It's a corner on the right hand side. Both arms in the air from Alvarez. Plenty of pushing and shoving in the penalty area. In it comes, deep to the far post. Areola stretches, right arm to it, puts it behind for another corner for Manchester City, who take it quickly. Doku gets it from Rodri, puts in a shot, cleared up in the air by West Ham, but it's got decent distance on it, and it's out for a throw into to Manchester City on the left. Playing in the maroon shorts, and we've had a very rare Premier League foul throw.
I think they're just too eager to get the ball back in play, aren't they? Bernardo Silva there, not taking the correct throw. West Ham now, they really need to just tighten it up. Don't concede now. The worst time to concede a goal is just before half-time. It can throw, as for a manager, the whole team talk out the window. So,
late challenge from Guardiol. I think it's going to go into the book here. Just a bit of frustration showing there on Bowen, right on the halfway line, right in front of the two managers standing on the edge of their technical area, and Pep Guardiola just trudges with one hand in his pocket slowly back to the bench and then gingerly sits down. Won't be happy.
Well, what a shift he's put in already, Jarrod Bowen. I mean, he played a number of games last season, didn't he? Really done well, but just up and down in possession, out of possession, helping his full-back out.
Free kick for West Ham, floated in towards Antonio with his back to goal, but it's won by Manchester City, and they've got possession back. Only 2 goals in the Premier League so far. One is at Old Trafford. It's Manchester United 0, Brighton 1, and West Ham leading Manchester City here by 1-0. But here comes Bernardo. The supporters here want half-time. They want the whistle. Back it comes to Alvarez. Alvarez 25 yards from goal, trying to shape it onto his left foot for a shot. West Ham back in numbers again. Here's Foden. Foden's going to try one. Blocked brilliantly. West Ham's blocking's been excellent, and that is half-time. And that's what it means to these supporters. West Ham would go above Manchester City if it stays like this. They lead 1-0 at half-time. Steve Sidwell.
Well, there's been two sides of this first half, isn't there, for both teams. For West Ham, just sitting there, really frustrating, making it hard for Man City. Man City have had chances. Haaland, limited touches in and around the box. Normally does score, but Ward-Prowse comes up with the goods on a great counter-attack from West Ham. They go in the lead 1-0. Can they sit out for the second half?
The diving header then from James Ward-Prowse separates them. It's been quite something here, Chappers, in the first half.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Steve. Goal on the stroke of half-time at Hillsborough. Which way? Chris Coles.
It's gone to Ipswich, Mark, going according to the league table. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Ipswich 1. Connor Chaplin sweeping home from just inside the penalty area. Deserved lead. Wednesday 0, Ipswich 1.
Not many goals around in the Premier League. Half-time at the Cottage. Henry Moran.
Fulham 0, Luton 0. And the hosts have dominated the possession. They've had almost 80% of it. It's Luton who've come closest. Jacob Brown with a free header 8 yards out, but he couldn't cap his first start with a goal. The ball clattering against the post. Fulham have been the stronger side, make no mistake, but they've not created any real chances. Every move snuffed out by a wall of orange shirts. 2 bookings apiece. It's been scrappy. It remains Fulham 0, Luton 0.
Let's go to Old Trafford, half-time there. How have the home fans reacted? John Bennett.
Yeah, boos at the break, Mark. Manchester United 0, Brighton 1-0 to lift United's spirits after that nightmare 2 weeks. They started with real intensity. Rashford forced a save from Steele after dancing into the box, but Brighton took the sting out of the game and they took the lead through one of United's own. Former Red Danny Welbeck firing in and a Dingra low cross. After that, Rashford hit the woodwork with a deflected shot. Højlund had a goal disallowed because the ball had just gone out of play from the Rashford cross. United playing with a diamond formation to compensate for their lack of wingers. It's not working. Manchester United 0, Brighton 1.
Nick Powell has just put Stockport ahead at MK Dons in League 2 on the stroke of half-time. MK Dons 1, Stockport County 2. Tottenham have been the great entertainers in the Premier League this season. Cue John Southall.
But Tottenham 0, Sheffield United 0. But it has been there's always a but, you know that, Mark. It's been a good half of football. They've actually had 12 shots, Tottenham, 7 of those on target, and Sheffield United are right in this as well. 2 good chances. The first to James McAtee, 12 yards out, saved by Vicario, may have been offside if he'd scored it, and then right on half-time, Ollie McBurney, 10 yards out, his header straight at the keeper. Wes Foderingham in the Sheffield United goal has excelled himself as well, denying Basuma, Son and Solomon, and James Maddison once again has pulled all the strings. He's been denied a penalty and volleyed an effort wide. Half-time 0-0. We will have goals here.
You will have goals. Sutton United have found it tough going in League 2 this season. They've lost their last 6 and they're behind going into the break. Accrington have just scored from the penalty spot in first half stoppage time. Tommy Lee with that goal. Back to the Premier League, Katie Smith.
Aston Villa 0, Crystal Palace 0. Villa, though, definitely the more threatening side. Moussa Diaby thought he'd scored his third of the season after running onto a ball over the top. VAR, though, ruled it out for offside. Villa should have been ahead before that, though. Ollie Watkins jumping onto a sloppy pass. He was 1-on-1 in the box, goes for the far post, tipped away by Johnston in goal. Palace haven't really offered a huge amount up front. Jordan Ayew's been subbed off as well. That came at 25 minutes, injured after a clash with John McGinn. Jean-Philippe Mateta is on 0-0 at half-time.
Preston looking to go back to the top of the Championship after Leicester's win last night. All going to plan, so Shojo Saka.
It is so far. Preston 2, Plymouth 0. Canada international Liam Miller, the difference maker on his Preston debut. A lovely assist after just 38 seconds, headed home by Dwayne Holmes, and then Miller on the score sheet himself in the 25th minute. He's been oozing class on the left wing, exuding confidence. Plymouth have actually been very good, just haven't quite taken their chances. As it stands, as you say, Preston going top. Half time, it's Preston 2, Plymouth 0.
Pre-match, we talked about the goal scorers in the sides of Watford and Birmingham. So predictably at half-time, Flo Pollock.
That's right, Watford 0, Birmingham 0. Birmingham did nearly take the lead within 40 seconds though. Jay Stansfield, their new striker, his shot saved smartly. Watford hit the post from a corner, but not much to report beyond those 2 chances really. Watford loads of possession, lacking penetration. Half-time, Watford 0, Birmingham 0.
1 goal in it at Norwich. Aaron.
Yeah, Norwich 1, Stoke 0. Jack Stacey's first goal for the club sees the home side ahead here after a scrappy, busy first half. Loads of chances for Norwich. Ashley Barnes with the best of them, failing to convert from close range, but then Mehdi Larisse saw his clearance fall to Stacey 5 yards out. He couldn't miss. Norwich 1, Stoke 0.
And the home side are a goal up at Blackburn as well. Nesta.
Yeah, but it should be 2 or 3. The home side have had the pick of the chances, including at least 2 headers from close range with the goal gaping. Middlesbrough, it would seem, missing some creativity in the final third. Their lone striker having to beat 2 or 3 defenders every time he gets the ball. All one-way traffic. Borough boss Michael Carrick's got a big half-time team talk to give if they're trying to win their first game of the season.
Elsewhere in the Championship this afternoon, goalless at Ashton Gate between Bristol City and West Brom. Huddersfield against Rotherham. This is 21st against 20th, and Huddersfield lead by a goal to 0 at the break. Josh Koroma has got that. QPR are a goal up on Sunderland as they approach half-time at Loftus Road. The goal coming from Kenneth Parle, but Jack Colback has been sent off for QPR against his former club as they approach half-time there, and they're still waiting for the half-time whistle at Hillsborough. Chris Coles.
Because it's been a half fragmented by injuries, Mark, so we still have a good 5 minutes to play, I reckon. Ipswich in front, Connor Chaplin's driven finish on the stroke of half-time. Wednesday offering very little. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Ipswich 1.
Let's go into League 1. Our featured game is the Legionnaires Stevenage at home to Michael Appleton's Charlton. Charlie Slater.
Stevenage 1, Charlton 0, nothing less than what the home side deserved. Jamie Reid, the scorer after the half-hour mark, finding the far corner from a tight angle. Stevenage looked great. Charlton looked like a side that got the manager the sack in August, and Michael Appleton looks like he's got his work cut out for him. 1-0 at the break.
OK, elsewhere in League One, Barnsley lead Burton by a goal to nil. Devontae Cole got that 7 for the season for him. Goalless between Derby and Portsmouth. Maybe not surprisingly, Cheltenham haven't scored yet this afternoon. The only goal they've scored all season was an own goal in the EFL Trophy, but they haven't conceded either. Exeter 0, Cheltenham 0. Fleetwood under Lee Johnson as their new manager, a 2-0 down at home to Oxford. Stanley Mills, son of Danny, one of the goal scorers in that game. Lincoln 0, Carlisle 1. Peterborough took the lead at home to Leyton Orient thanks to Hector Ciprianu's third of the season. Omar Beckles has equalised for Richie Wellens' side. Port Vale 0, Northampton 0, Reading 0, Bolton 1. Bolton's top scorer for the season getting the goal there. Dion Charles, 6 for the season for him now. Shrewsbury 0, Bristol Rovers 0, Wigan 0, Cambridge 0, and Wickham are a goal up on Blackpool at the break. That coming through Sam Vokes. Into League 2, we are at Gillingham this afternoon. Chris Temple.
Gillingham 2, Morecambe 1 at half-time. Gillingham on course to regain the leadership of League 2, but not without some alarms. George Lapsley gave them a 9th-minute lead from close range. A lovely lobbed finish from Michael Mellon levelled it a couple of minutes later for Morecambe before Conor Mahoney, on loan from Huddersfield, put Gillingham 2-1 up. Mellon hit the bar in the closing minutes of the half for Morecambe, but Gillingham lead by 2-1 at the break.
Elsewhere, that Tommy Lee penalty on the stroke of half-time means Accrington lead Sutton by a goal to nil. AFC Wimbledon lead Crewe by 2-0. James Tilley has got one of those goals, 8 for the season already for him. Goalless between Bradford and Harrogate. Colchester lead Mansfield by a goal to nil. Joe Taylor got that goal. He's on loan from Luton. He's now got 6 for the season already. Crawley 0, Tranmere 1. They've lost 6 of 7 in League 2. Remember, they're under new management as well. Tranmere, Nigel Adkins in temporary charge, and it's worked so far. They lead at the break. Bottom of the table, Doncaster are ahead as well. Forest Green Rovers 0, Doncaster 1. MK Dons 1, Stockport 2. Louis Barry put Stockport ahead, 5 for the season for him. Mo Issa equalising for MK Dons, 5 for the season for him. Nick Powell scoring on the stroke of half-time to put Stockport back in the lead. Newport lead Barrow by a goal to nil. They're unbeaten at home in the league this season in Newport, but they are down to 10 in that game. Ryan Delaney has been sent off for them. Swindon lead Walsall by a goal to nil. Charlie Austin has got that goal. And Wrexham 2, Grimsby 0. They're unbeaten in their last 6 in the league. Phil Parkinson's side. Into the Scottish Premiership earlier, Rangers won 2-0 at St Johnstone. How are Celtic getting on at home to Dundee? Connie.
Celtic 0, Dundee 0, Mark. It's all very predictable from the home side this afternoon. They're trying their best to use both channels with Yang and Maeda. Maeda, to be fair to him, did have a goal chalked off for offside, but that's been about it, and it really seems that Dundee have got the memo. They're trying to cut Celtic off at the source by keeping Callum McGregor and David Turnbull quiet. It's working so far, but I just wonder for how long. Dundee had a great chance themselves. Owen Beck's cutback found Luke McCowan in front of goal, but the midfielder's snapshot was beaten away by goalkeeper Joe Hart at point blank range, and then it was Zach Robinson who had the job of trying to get the rebound, but he made a mess of it and it went nowhere. So half time it is Celtic 0, Dundee 0.
Still playing in the Championship at QPR, and Sunderland have just equalised through Jack Clark. That's 3 for the season for him, and remember QPR are down to 10 in that game because of Jack Colback's red card. Elsewhere in the Scottish Premiership, Hearts lead Aberdeen by a goal to nil. Hibs are a goal up at Kilmarnock. It's Motherwell 0, St Mirren 0, and Ross County 0, Livingston 0, although they're not at half-time in that game at Dingwall. Elsewhere in the Scottish Championship, Arbroath are down to 10, but they lead Adrionians by 2-0. Dundee United 1, Morton 0, Queen's Park 0, Dunfermline 0, and Wraith 0, Inverness 0. In League 1, Annan 1, Stirling 0, Cove Rangers 1, Kelty Hearts 2. Goalless between Falkirk and Queen of the South, and Hamilton and Alloa and Edinburgh City have had an awful start to the season in League 1. They've played 6, lost 6, and they're now 4-0 down at the break in their 7th game at Montrose. In League 2, East Fife 1, Clyde 0, Elgin 1, Dumbarton 0, Forfar 1, Spartans 2, Peterhead 0, Bonnyrigg Rose 0, and Stenhouse Muir leads Stranraer by 2-0. Just back to England and the National League, AFC Fylde are down to 10 and they trail Eastleigh by a goal to nil. Goalless between Aldershot and and Gateshead, Bromley 2, Oldham 0, Ebbsfleet 0, Chesterfield 0, FC Halifax trailed Dorking by a goal to 0. Goalless between Hartlepool and Woking, Maidenhead and Boreham Wood, and Oxford City and Dagenham and Redbridge. Rochdale are 2-1 up on Barnet, Wealdstone 0, Altrincham 0, and York City 1, Southend 0. And at last, the half-time whistle has gone at Hillsborough. Chris Coles.
After 11 minutes of first half stoppage time, a deserved Ipswich lead given to them by Connor Chaplin. His driven finish. They've been much better, Ipswich. Freddie Ladapo and Wes Burns missing decent chances before the goal. Sheffield Wednesday, they're missing their creator-in-chief Barry Bannon. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Ipswich 1.
And the half-time whistle has gone at QPR, where they are level with Sunderland at 1-1. Earlier on then at Molineux in the Premier League, Liverpool came from a goal down to beat Wolves by 3-1. In the 3 o'clock games, Fulham 0, Luton 0, Villa 0, Palace 0, Tottenham 0, Sheffield United 0, Manchester United 0, Brighton 1. We have Newcastle Brentford to come at 5:30, but we'll head back to the London Stadium now, where the home side lead Manchester City by a goal to 0. Steve Sidwell and John Akers.
Thank you, Mark. I'm forever blowing bubbles. Blair's out, bubbles flying up from the machines in front of us into the air, and fans in short sleeves in claret and blue making their way back to their seats, pretty happy at what they've seen in the first half. James Ward-Prowse's diving header on the break, delicious little dinked cross from Sofal, and perfect for James Ward-Prowse with his late run into the box, diving header and into the corner. We're underway for the second half. Manchester City with two shots cleared off the line, I should say, in the first half. Haaland with one of them. He missed a couple that he'd probably back himself to score in the first half, and Manchester City are kicking from left to right as we look at it in their white shirts and their maroon shorts, which I'm kind of surprised they've been able to get away with today. They're very similar in colour to the West Ham shorts. Steve Sidwell is with me.
Yeah, I'd agree with that actually. Didn't really notice that in the first half, but we'll see where that's gone.
Here's Doku into the penalty area, left-hand side, running a Sofal. Doku, brilliant! What a goal from Jeremy Doku! His first for Manchester City, draws them level just after the break. Dancing feet, brilliant finish. West Ham 1, Manchester City 1.
Well, Pep Guardiola gets up and fist pumps the air. David Moyes' head sinks low to his knees. It's a great play from Man City here. Doku, who's been live wire the whole of the first half, he drives into the box. He just wants to get as close as he can to that 6-yard box, cuts inside, and there's the opening, and he just wraps his foot round it into the far post, gives Areola absolutely no chance. Just what Man City needed. That game now is an even playing field.
It really is a brilliant finish. No chance for the goalkeeper. It's almost gone in off the far post. Side foot, Thierry Henry style finish with the instep, if you can picture that. It was beautiful. In fact, Thierry Henry, I think, had some good stuff to say about Doku in terms of his pace, and we've just seen it for the first time in all its glory with the finish to match at the end. Manchester City level on 5 Live and BBC World Service. What a start to the second half for Manchester City, and West Ham, after all that good work, are just undone. They've just come out of the blocks, and whatever Guardiola has said, like Steve says, he's probably said go at them and have a shot. Go at them and go at Sofal and have a go, and that's what he did, and he scored. And Vardiol has it on the lip of the centre circle for Manchester City, and now into the feet of Alvarez. Rodri. Now Akanji, midway inside the West Ham half, centre field. Rodri swings it out to Kyle Walker, wearing the captain's armband, and now to Phil Foden. Foden into the feet of Akanji, goes on the overlap. Foden again, left foot strike deflected, corner. It's their 9th corner, this. Manchester City of the game. West Ham 1, Manchester City 1.
They just don't get phased, Man City. They stick to their game plan. They just wait for that little opening that these players like Foden or Silva, Doku can produce, or that little bit of brilliance, just like that goal.
in League One. Wycombe 2, Blackpool 0. Corner from the right, Alvarez takes it short to Foden, and now Bernardo Silva, square to Walker. Shoot, say the Manchester City fans, but he gives it back to Bernardo Silva, and now Alvarez on the right, 5 waiting in the middle, little flicked header, cushioned away and over the bar from Guardiol, who puts his head in his hands from the edge of the penalty area, and it's a goal kick for West Ham.
And that's another teasing ball, isn't it, from Guardiol. Areola doesn't really deal with it. I mean, there's a little nick from Foden. Areola parries it out onto the edge of the box, and it's a hard strike to keep down. You need to keep your body over it, keep your foot over the ball to try and keep that down, but goes sky high over the bar.
Let's get an update from Fulham Luton. Henry Moran.
Still goalless early in the second half, but Luton with another good opportunity. Amari Bell at the back post, probably should score, but too close to Leno, scrambling across his goal. Goalless here at the Cottage.
And here Manchester City in possession, on the lip of the centre circle, but drifting into the West Ham half in comfortable possession with Foden, who's level with the 18-yard box now. Tries a little 1-2 with Bernardo, but Bernardo checks and goes back to Kyle Walker, and Manchester City still in possession. The Kyle Walker new contract video on social media was absolutely unbelievable. I'll chat about that with Steve in just a second if you haven't seen it. But we've got a goal at Villa Park. Katie Smith.
It's Villa 0, Palace 1. Some great work down the right hand side by Mateta, who came on as a substitute in the first half, wrestles the ball to Edouard, who's then helped by a slip from Emi Martinez in goal, slots it home. Villa 0, Palace 1.
Header back across from Manchester City, have got possession deep inside the West Ham half. They've managed to clear it, West Ham, and Rodri funnels the ball back to Ruben Diaz. I thought our producer Rory sounded a bit downbeat when he asked me to go to Villa Park a few moments ago there. Palace leading by a goal to 0. Villa had one chalked off by the VAR in the first half as Bernardo is in possession. Bernardo Silva gets it to Rodri, and Rodri's 30 yards from goal. Might fancy a shot on his left foot, and he looks like he's fouled. Referee's whistle goes. He is. It's about 25 yards out this, to the right of the D, and an opportunity for someone to put a shot on target, although they had a similar bit of field position and didn't take it on in the first half. Steve Sidwell.
No. Rodri there know that they can get a strike off on goal. Edson Alvarez trying to get too close. It was a foul. They feel like you just got the bit between their teeth now, Man City. They're on this front foot. They've got West Ham wobbling a bit. They need to just regroup, concentrate, close the gaps, and see this little tide out.
Both goals from here, well worth watching on Match of the Day tonight. 10:20, Alan Shearer and Danny Murphy with Gary Lineker. And Bernardo Silva's over the ball again here. Kyle Walker's there too. And so is Alvarez, who's picked up the assist for that Doku goal, by the way, if you're a fan of fantasy football. Will it be Alvarez or Bernardo Silva? Alvarez looks like he fancies this 25 yards out. 4 in the wall for West Ham United. In it comes. Good ball! It's hell of a free kick. And it's hit the post. It's hit Areola's left-hand post. Diving away, he was beaten. And West Ham survive.
Well, I think the free kick in the first half was just a bit too far out for that shot, but Alvarez there stepping up and showing a bit of quality, rattles the post and crossbar where it needs. It really was a great strike, and it just happened to fall to a West Ham player to clear.
What a free kick, what a strike with his right foot. And maybe he should have taken the one in the first half. Goal at Blackburn, Nesta McGregor.
And it's Blackburn Rovers 2, Middlesbrough 0, 2 for Sammy Smodics. If nets weren't being used, this ball will still be travelling. He controlled the ball on the edge of the box. It bounced up sweetly, half volley. Keeper got a hand to it, but stood absolutely no chance into the left-hand corner of the net. Blackburn 2, Middlesbrough 0.
Scottish Premiership, Celtic 1, Dundee 0. Manchester City in possession near the halfway line, 1-1 here at the London Stadium between West Ham and Manchester City. There's a through ball for Haaland, but it's intercepted by West Ham. Rodri's won it back, surging forward through the middle. Little dink ball, Haaland acrobatics, saved Areola. Brilliant save, brilliant effort. Ball comes to Foden, edge of the penalty area. Alvarez, now Doku the goal scorer for City. Edge of the box, just teasing at the moment. Bowen and Sofal decides to go back. Here is Guardiol. plays a square ball to Bernardo, has to chase to keep it in and can't. Full time in the Rugby World Cup between Samoa and Chile. Sarah Orchard.
Samoa 43, Chile 10, 5 tries and a brace from the replacement hooker Sama Malola, but they top Pool D. That's with England and Japan still to come in the pool tomorrow, of course. So full time, it's Samoa 43, Chile 10.
And we can get news of that goal for Celtic from Connie McLaughlin.
Dundee 0. VAR went against them in the first half but ruled in their favour just a couple of minutes ago. Ref said penalty, upsets David Turnbull. Celtic 1, Dundee 1, we should say. No.
1-1. Let's just
Dundee
confirm.
0.
Let's confirm. Celtic 1, Dundee 0. Thank you, Connie. And Motherwell 0, St Mirren 1 in the Scottish Premiership. And here it's 1-1. Steve Sidwell, how are you reading this with 10 minutes of the second half gone?
Well, Man City have come out, haven't they, on the front foot. They've got their goal. They're looking to get this second one and kill this game off if they can with the third.
Doku goes towards the byline, gets it back across left-footed, but it's straight into the arms of Areola, who has made a lot of saves in this game. He's been terrific.
Great save there as well from Haaland. A really good play from Rodri, reading the game, being on the front foot, driving at West Ham's defence. He kind of does a through ball association with probably Gianfranco Zola, like a little scoop, wasn't it? And Haaland wasted no time to take the shot, took it really high, something that Ibrahimovic would take. Very acrobatic, and Areola very, very busy.
7 saves in the game for Areola so far. We've got a goal at Old Trafford. John Bennett.
Listen to this scoreline. Manchester United 0, Brighton 2, and it's Pascal Gross who scored twice here last season. He's done it again in the box, side-footed finish into the back of the net. Problems for Manchester United. Brighton lead by 2-0.
Wow. John Bennett. Wow, Steve Sidwell.
It doesn't surprise me. I was fortunate enough to be at the training ground on Thursday, and I had a sit down with Roberto De Zerbi and a lot of time for people that was there, watched training, and they was training very good. I mean, the way that they was moving the ball, passing drills, it was great to share a little bit of wisdom with him, and that scoreline there does not surprise me one bit.
You shared some wisdom with him.
He shared wisdom with me. Him and his staff there, he's got about 5 or 6 staff. They're all Italian. They just look like it's a scene from a mafia film in his office.
Bet they serve some good pasta there these days at the training ground, don't they?
Michelin star, man.
Antonio could be away here for West Ham. Antonio into the penalty area. Out comes Edison. I think slightly late, but he got the ball. I think he could have come out slightly earlier, but he did the job as Antonio, just one heavy touch, let him down, Steve Sidwell.
That's that clinicalness that you need from this West Ham side. It was just a heavy touch, was it? The first touch was good. He rolled, was it Diaz on the side, on the halfway line, and he's through. And it's like the last touch was just too heavy. Edison was just waiting to pounce. Can he come? Can he not? He decided to, and it was the right decision.
Foden for City, who are right up the other end and attacking. Rodri left-footed over the crossbar. Goal kick for West Ham United in League One. Lincoln 1, Carlisle 1. Ethan Hamilton has scored there, and it's the same scoreline here at the London Stadium. West Ham United 1, Manchester City 1. More goals, bringing you them faster than anyone else here on 5 Live. There was a game here last week with a full house, of course, and the Sidemen beat the YouTube All-Stars 8-5. 3 million raised for charity. Full house here last week.
Amazing. You know what the YouTubers do nowadays. I've got 4 kids myself, and I think it was on the same time that England was playing, and they was watching it on their phones.
I did exactly the same with my 13-year-old Evan. I went, "Oh, you got the England game on there, Ev? We were at the beach." And he went, "No, Dad, it's the Sidemen."
That's it.
They're 7-5
nowadays.
They're 7-5 up. I was like, all right, okay, Ev, no problem.
Amazing though. I mean, money for charity. They certainly know how to put a show on.
Here comes City. Doku again, the Manchester City goal scorer. In comes the cross, another corner for City from the left-hand side. It's going to be swung in. He's causing some problems now, Doku.
He is, yeah. It's similar to exactly the same as, in fact, as his goal, driving into the box. And this time he decided to try and whip it on that 6-yard line to Haaland. But West Ham managed to block that one.
Crewe have got one back. Wimbledon 2, Crewe 1. Short corner for City is intercepted by Bowen. Manchester City have a throw-in now. And in the Championship, Blackburn leading Middlesbrough 2-1. Matt Crooks has scored a consolation, or got one back for Middlesbrough, I should say. Here's City in possession. Swung into the box. Haaland's header. Areola, another save. I'll make that 8 or 9 for Areola in the game. Haaland got a sight of it, got up well, but it was comfortable for Areola above his head.
Yeah, fantastic ball in from Silva. It's a high ball towards that the back post on the 6-yard line. And it's high, isn't it? He just tries to get a power onto it, but he can't. It's a save that you'd expect Areola to make.
West Ham in possession inside their own half. Let's get an update from Tottenham. John Southall.
It's getting lively here, John. Tottenham 0, Sheffield United 0. Son and Kulusevski have both had shots blocked. Wes Fodringham's been clattered by Mickey van der Ven. He was livid, chucked off his gloves. He's already been booked. He's got to be careful. He's been time wasting as well. Tottenham 0, Sheffield United 0.
West Ham are getting ready to make 2 substitutions here at the London Stadium, but West Ham are in possession with Antonio running through the middle. That's a nice little ball into the penalty area. They go, and it's wide. A good effort, but it's going to be a corner. I think you've got to touch off a City player or a City glove there. Terrific effort, wide of the post from West Ham. They have a corner.
Yeah, Man City have got to be a little bit careful here. They are open and they have got quality, West Ham. I think it was a recovering tackle from Akanji. Gets it out. West Ham just couldn't quite get their shot off in time, but it's a little warning sign there for Man City.
James Ward-Prowse goes across, scored a diving header to put West Ham in the lead in the first half. He's had a really good game, both with and without the ball so far, and this is one of the reasons they've signed him for 30 million. He's in the sunshine on the far side. It's baking hot here. In it comes right-footed, loads of whip on it. Zuma, brilliant save from Ederson, low down to his left. That is a great header and an even better save.
Wow, what an incredible save from Ederson. It's a delightful header from Zuma. He gets full purchase header towards the back of the goal, and Ederson flies past, puts it round by the post. Great save there from Ederson.
Corner again for West Ham. Ward-Prowse again. In it comes. This time Manchester City do get a little piece of it, and now maybe they will break. Forward towards Doku. Doku's pace. Brilliant challenge. What a challenge. I think it's Jared Bowen back there, and West Ham have the ball.
And that is what Jared Bowen is all about. We said in the first half that he was busy, not just in possession, getting up the pitch and dragging his team up, but also helping out his fullbacks who fell, doing the hard jars, doubling up, and that there, the crowd love that.
We're going to see Mohamed Kudus come on, the Ghanaian, for West Ham, and Ben Rama in a double change in a moment. Manchester City are in possession in the centre circle. Wigan 1, Cambridge 0 in League One. Let's get news of that goal then at Blackburn. Nesta.
Yeah, it was a goal against the run of play. Matt Crooks is the scorer. Good play down the Borough right, but when the ball came into the box there was some confusion. Rovers defender stopped believing Crooks was offside. He wasn't. He tapped it in. Barely had time to celebrate because I think he thought he was offside as well. But it's game on. Blackburn 2, Middlesbrough 1.
Manchester City in possession again. West Ham 1, Manchester City 1. The possession stats in the first half, 67% for Manchester City, 33 for West Ham. So not the possession stats that we saw in the games against Chelsea and Brighton in those 3-1 wins for West Ham. They've had a little bit more of the ball than they did in those matches, and they've got it now on the right with Sofal, who provided that beautiful cross. He's having to shield his eyes from the sun down there.
And they've been good with the ball, haven't they, John? You've got to say they've had limited possession, but when they've had it, they've used it well. They've not been rushed.
And they've got it again, and they're not being rushed. Right on cue, Steve. Yeah. And that's a free kick. That's why we pay the probably mediocre bucks to be here.
For the love of the game.
West Ham have got a free kick here in James Ward-Prowse crossing territory, midway inside the City half, a yard in from the left-hand touchline. 1-0 they lead. Are we going to see these changes?
They've been waiting there for a while, haven't they?
They've been there a good 5 minutes, these two, Ben Rama and Kudus. And I think they're going to take the free kick, and we're going to have a change for Manchester City as well. So we're going to see Matthias Nunes come on for Manchester City, because they couldn't get Paquetá in the end. City, they went for Nunez from Wolves, and he's getting ready to come on, just having a chat with Pep Guardiola at the moment. But they've got some defending to do here, Manchester City. In it comes from Ward-Prowse, really good delivery. Well read by Kyle Walker. Gets a right foot to it, high, gets some distance on it too. And City have got possession but giving it away. Here's Antonio down the left-hand side. Can he get away? The crowd in front of us rise. In it comes from Antonio, headed up in the air at the near post by City. Kyle Walker wins a header clear. Sofal wins it against Doku. Doku then wins the battle. He's pulled back. Free kick for Manchester City on the left-hand side. The referees let play go on here though. And City are in possession with Gvardiol. Plays a nice ball to Alvarez. Alvarez in the centre circle. He's got runners ahead of him. One of them is Foden. Alvarez checks in the centre of the pitch. West Ham get numbers back. Now Walker. Alvarez. Foden. Oh, we've got a goal at the Cottage. Fulham-Luton. Henry Moran.
Fulham 1, Luton 0. All of the possession finally bringing its reward. The cross from the left-hand side, spilled by goalkeeper Kaminski, and there substitute Carlos Vinicius. Barely 2 minutes on the field. He taps the ball in. Fulham lead. Fulham 1, Luton 0.
Manchester City in possession on the edge of the box here, attacking the goal to our right. 1-1. It's with Gvardiol, who's going to try one. Another leaping, diving save from Areola. So many saves from him in this game so far, the Frenchman. Another corner for Manchester City. Goal at Deepdale. Preston Plymouth.
2, Plymouth 1. It's been coming. A nice move by Plymouth, started by Finn Azaz, finished off by Ryan Hardy for his 5th goal of the season. Plymouth almost had another one as well. Preston 2, Plymouth 1.
Hardy's on fire as West Ham are in possession. Ball's gone out of play, and City win a throw in on the right hand side as Bowen was going to break down the left hand side for West Ham. That's why the crowd were disappointed with the decision. Fleetwood 0, Oxford 3. Kyle Edwards with the latest goal there. And then the Scottish Premiership, Kilmarnock 0, Hibernian 2. And we are finally going to see these substitutions, and while they come on, let's get an update from Manchester United Brighton at Old Trafford. John Bennett.
Manchester United's huge boost here though. Anthony Martial has just come on for Rasmus Højlund. The crowd did not like that. Meanwhile, Brighton have brought on Ansu Fati, the Barcelona loanee, for his debut. Manchester United 0, Brighton 2.
And let's go to Celtic. Connie McLaughlin.
Celtic 2, Dundee 0. Celtic double their lead. The ball over the top by substitute Rio Hatate, the man who the fans cheered had returned from injury just a few minutes before. It found the head of who else but Kyogo, and he powered it into the back of the net. It's Celtic 2, Dundee 0.
So substitutions being made here. Phil Foden has gone on for Manchester City, and Nunez is on, and Said Benrahma is about to be introduced as well, and Mohamed Kudus makes his home debut for West Ham United, the Ghanaian. Signed from Ajax last month. Manchester City have a throw-in on the right-hand side.
Well, I think they was going to take maybe Souček off first for Benrahma, but it looks as though Edson Alvarez has gone down, and they might have to just change that one. Yeah, I think Edson Alvarez is going to come off now.
Yeah, Alvarez. Oh, is he? No, he's just having a chat with Pep Guardiola. Is he Alvarez? No, that's Gvardiol. Yeah. So yeah. Alvarez is off.
He looks like Edson Alvarez for West Ham. He's gone down with, it looks like an injury.
Yeah, so Edson Alvarez has gone down, the Mexican. So Kudus for Antonio. Benrahma was Souček. Alvarez going off now, we think, instead. Yeah, Souček still on the field, and Nunez for Foden, the change for Manchester City. Let's get some team news then from the game late. Spurs, let's go there instead. John Southall.
It's raucous inside here. Tottenham 0, Sheffield United 0. Maddison to Son, he went down in the area, penalty waved away. Solomon 7 yards out, thrashed it over the bar. Tottenham 0, Sheffield United 0.
Manchester City in possession inside the West Ham half. Lovely little turn from Alvarez back across goal. Can it be picked up by Bernardo Silva? West Ham have done enough to get it clear for now. This could go either way with 22 minutes plus added time remaining. Manchester City with a throw on the left.
They are getting in dangerous areas, aren't they? Just on these final thirds, just the right hand side or left hand side of Areola's goal. It's just that final pass. You're just waiting for a Man City player to come onto it and bury it in the goal, but no one's there.
Here's Doku again to the byline for Manchester City, and West Ham with some good defending from Sofal back there. That's terrific. And then he clears away right-footed towards Bowen, and Manchester City will have to tidy up back towards Ederson, and Wigan are leading Cambridge by 2-0 in League One. Kilmarnock 1, Hibernian 2. They've got one back. Kilmarnock. Crawley 1, Tranmere 1, an equaliser for Crawley. And Hearts 2, Aberdeen 0. They've doubled their lead. Sunderland now 2-1 up at Queen's Park Rangers. And Celtic 3-0 up against Dundee. West Ham are in possession, first touch for Ben Rama, plays it into the feet of James Ward-Prowse, of Bowen it was, and he's just overhit the return with his left foot, and it's gone out for a throw-in to Manchester City.
It'll be interesting to see now. Antonio's off. It looks as though Bowen has possibly gone up top, but there will be some interchange with him and Kudos. Paquetá just behind him, giving a bit of support, and Ben Rama on this left-hand side.
And details of that third Celtic goal from Connie McLaughlin.
Yep, Celtic 3, Dundee 0, and it was the moment I think Celtic have finally sparked into life. Kyogo, I've just told you about a couple of minutes ago, scored the second, but it was him who created the third. He managed to cut it back just from the byline, found Matt O'Reilly, who thundered it into the back of the net with his right foot, made absolutely no mistake. Much more clinical from Celtic. It's what they've been missing. Celtic 3, Dundee 0.
Manchester City in possession inside the West Ham half, as they have been for much of this game. Centre field with the likes of Rodri and Walker and Guardiol in there. Doku's been the difference for them in the second half. A goal within the first minute. When they get it wide out there, it looks like they're going to unlock doors. Accrington 3, Sutton 0 now. Earlier it was Wolves 1, Liverpool 3. It's Aston Villa 0, Crystal Palace 1. Edouard with the goal there. Fulham are leading Luton by a goal to 0. Vinicius with the goal. Brighton are 2-0 up at Old Trafford. Welbeck and Gross for Brighton. Tottenham 0, Sheffield United 0 is a later score. And here it's West Ham 1, Manchester City 1. And Manchester City are in possession with Rodri again, deep inside the West Ham half. And they've shoveled the ball out to the right-hand side to Bernardo Silva, who goes towards the byline, chopping and changing between left and right foot. It's forced back though. Good defending again from West Ham. Nunez gets a first touch on as a substitute. Now it's with Diaz through the middle. Chips the ball out to the left hand side, level with the penalty area, picked up by Doku, who's got two players round him. He's forced backwards, doesn't go down the line this time. Rodri falls on his backside in central midfield, but it goes all the way through to Akanji. 1-1. 5 Live Sport from the BBC and the BBC World Service. More Premier League games than anyone else. Fastest goal service around. Stay with us. There's an exciting 19 minutes plus added time, I'm sure, remaining here at the London Stadium. Manchester City in possession, centre field, ball through towards Haaland on the edge of the D, holds the ball up, gets it back, good challenge, and West Ham win possession back. And the commentary games keep coming. Pat Nevin and John Murray will be at Newcastle later, and John has your team news.
Yes, and big changes for Newcastle. Wilson starts instead of Isak for the first time this season. Barnes makes his first Premier League start for Newcastle. Longstaff and Anderson come into the midfield. So Tonali and Almiron are on the bench, like Isak, and so is Targett, with Botman fit to return at the back. Just a one change for Brentford. Collins in for Sharda, so it's a return to 3 central defenders for them.
Thank you, John. Haaland with his shirt being pulled on the edge of the penalty area as it goes into his feet. But West Ham come up with the ball, and maybe they can break. Bowen to Ben Rama. Ben Rama's away. Flag stays down. Left-hand side. No help yet. Corner of the penalty area. Kyle Walker, back he goes. And that's why at 33, he's just signed a new 2-year contract extension. Manchester United Brighton update. John Bennett.
Brighton still lead by 2 goals to 0. Could be 3-0. It is 3-0. And it's a goal for the substitute, João Pedro. Side-footed. Brilliant finish past Onana. This is a nightmare for Manchester United. Manchester United 0. Brighton 3.
My goodness. And Steve Sidwell's face, he was at the training ground this week, just said, wow. Incredible.
Honestly, it really doesn't surprise me. They're the most feared team, I think, in this country. I was talking to Lewis Dunk, coming back from England duty, and he was talking to the rest of the England squad, and they was actually saying that they would prefer to play Man City than play Brighton. That's coming from England internationals there. Just look at the body language here of Haaland. He really doesn't look happy. He's not been involved in the game. I know that's been a story of him at Man City where he does go unnoticed, but then he pops up with a goal. But the balls that come into him, it's been so hard for him to get hold of. This space is there. It feels as though the only way that Man City are going to score is getting this ball wide, bit of intricate play from either Bernardo Silva or Doku. That's the way they're going to score.
Scored for Georgia in their World Cup qualifier in a 2-1 win, Erling Haaland in the week for Norway. Scored against Georgia. Here go West Ham down the other end. Low cross into the penalty area from Sofal. Almost finds Benrahma. But a Manchester City leg gets in the way, and now it's out for a throw-in on the far side. Erling Haaland made his debut in this fixture last season. August the 7th, scored 2 goals. One of them a penalty. You'll remember him sitting cross-legged after one of the goals in the contemplative sort of sitting on the floor celebration that we became accustomed to last season. Hat-trick in his last outing for Manchester City. He's missed 2 chances in this game, which he would expect to score given his high standards, I'm sure. But as it is, it's 1-1. Crawley 1, Tranmere 2 in League 2. You're up to date. Goal at Old Trafford, John Bennett.
Some hope for Manchester United. Manchester United 1, Brighton 3, and it's the young substitute Hannibal Mejbri. Brilliant goal outside of the box, past the goalkeeper. Manchester United 1, Brighton 3.
Bernardo Silva, he's in here, Haaland, ball's in the back of the net, goal stands. Manchester City have come from behind to lead at the London Stadium, and it's Bernardo Silva with it. The Manchester City fans are going berserk, and West Ham's resistance has been broken twice in the second half. West Ham 1, Manchester City 2.
It was like I said, when the ball went out wide to Bernardo Silva, he tried a bit of intricate play, put it back, it didn't come off. He stays in the box. He gets on the second ball. It's a lovely little scoop pass. Just sort of a stealth running behind the back line, and Haaland looks as though he's going to touch it, but leaves it because he thinks he might be offside. I think the goal's going to stand.
Aguerd just mistimed his jump. Goal now at Tottenham Hotspur, John Southall.
What about this? Tottenham 0, Sheffield United 1. Gustavo Hamer on the left of the penalty area. Nobody picked him up on his left foot, off the right post, and in it went. Bedlam in the away end. Tottenham 0, Sheffield United 1.
All the goals flying in on 5 Live and BBC World Service. Take us with you on BBC Sounds. This is why you stick with us. Forget your apps on your phone. Listen to it live. Fastest goal service around. West Ham, do they have what it takes to break City down, as they will now inevitably drop a little, as they have already? It's the Manchester City fans you can hear in the background, and the ball is with Edison in the 6-yard box. West Ham 1, Manchester City 2 in the battle of the 2 European champions. Let's just say that from last season. Such a good ball into Bernardo Silva, wasn't it?
It was. And do you know what? Clever play there from Haaland. He's not had the greatest of games. He could have easily have nonchalantly, in a frustration way, tried to have nicked that goal and put it in the back of the net. He thought he may have been in an offside position. He let it go in. There's a deft touch there from Bernardo Silva, who we know has got great quality.
13 minutes plus added time remaining here. Let's go to Villa Park next. Villa Palace. Katie Smith.
It's Villa 0, Palace 1, and this game has leapt into 5th gear with Villa looking for the equaliser. Palace leading through Odsonne Edouard. Ward has just had a header go wide for the visitors as well. Palace unbeaten on the road this season, and Villa just with a good chance as well. John Duran just coming on, edge of the area, palmed away. Villa 0, Palace 1.
Manchester City in possession in the centre circle. Wolves 1, Liverpool 3 earlier on. As you've just heard, Villa 0, Palace 1, Fulham 1, Luton 0, Manchester United 1, Brighton 3, Tottenham 0, Sheffield United 1, West Ham 1, Manchester City 2 here in the Championship. Blackburn leading Middlesbrough 2-1, 0-0 Bristol City, West Brom, Huddersfield 2-0 up against Rotherham, Norwich 1, Stoke 0. Preston 2, Plymouth 0. Manchester City with Walker. Comfortable possession inside the West Ham half. QPR 1, Sunderland 2. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Ipswich 1. And Watford 0, Birmingham 0. Got a player down on the deck here for Manchester City, and the referee will go and check he's okay. Let's go back to Villa Palace. Katie Smith.
Big chance for the home side. It's still Villa 0, Palace 1, but Ollie Watkins with a shot that ricochets off the post. Sam Johnston in goal has just gone down. He's clutching his leg. We're going to have a bit of stoppage time here, but Villa unbeaten here on a winning streak, 9 games in a row at Villa Park. It's in danger. Villa 0, Palace 1.
League 1, Barnsley 2, Burton 0, Derby 0, Portsmouth 0, Exeter are a goal up against the bottom side Cheltenham, Fleetwood 0, Oxford 3, Lincoln 1, Carlisle 1, same scoreline Peterborough and Leyton Orient, Port Vale 0, Northampton 0, Reading 0, Bolton 1, Shrewsbury 0, Bristol Rovers 1, Stevenage 1-0 up against Charlton, Wigan 2-0 up against Cambridge, and Wickham 2-0 up against Blackpool. Ball in play near the halfway line with Manchester City and Rodri. A hot afternoon, 11 minutes to go. West Ham will be feeling it with the possession stats. They have put in a lot of work in this game, Steve Sidwell.
They have, and they're still being diligent. They know that there's still a bit of time for them to get back into this game. They don't want to kill this game off now, being too hasty and coming out of their zones, tight spaces, and getting picked off by this very, very good Man City team. So they're just biding their time at the moment, just waiting for that maybe 1 or 2 opportunities to get back in the game.
League 2, Accrington 3, Sutton 1, Wimbledon 2, Crewe 1, Bradford 0, Harrogate 1, Colchester 1, Mansfield 0, Crawley 2, Tranmere 2, Forest Green 0, Doncaster 1. West Ham have got possession back. Gillingham 2, Morecambe 1, MK Dons 1, Stockport 2, Newport 1, Barrow 1, Swindon 1, Walsall 0, Wrexham 2, Grimsby 0, and West Ham have won a free kick 5 yards inside the City half on the left. And you are up to date on 5 Live and the BBC World Service.
We're inside the last 10 minutes, aren't we now? And West Ham there not choosing to just put the ball down, spot it, put it in the box. They're going to wait, be patient and play around Man City.
It's West Ham in possession deep in their own half. Let's go to Old Trafford. John Bennett.
And Brighton so close to making it 4-1. It was Mitoma left hand side, his shot saved by Onana. Manchester United 1, Brighton 3.
West Ham United 1, Manchester City 2. Ederson in possession, sweeps a ball towards Bernardo Silva, scorer of Manchester City's second goal. Kyle Walker's on the charge, on the overlap, and gets there, the 33-year-old. Haaland's in the middle, and here comes Haaland. Great save, Areola again. What a game the West Ham United goalkeeper has had, and Haaland can't believe it. It was a brilliant break, but Areola stands up again.
Well, I just think it's one of them games where Haaland isn't going to get on the score sheet today, but Kyle Walker has just broke the speed limit, I think, in this borough, because he absolutely put the afterburners on there, went past Zuma like you can't believe, and put it on a plate for Haaland. All he has to do is get contact, which he did. If it goes either side of Areola, it's a goal.
According to the Premier League, that's his 10th save of the game. Here comes Benrahma for West Ham. In comes a low cross, deflected into the arms of Ederson. We've had a red card in League 2 at Gillingham. Chris Temple.
Gillingham still lead 2-1, but Morecambe's hopes of getting back in the game might have just walked off the field, with Michael Mellon, their goal scorer, sent off for a second yellow card after catching Connor Masterson late. It's 2-1 to Gillingham with 13 left. Morecambe have 10 men.
Elsewhere in League 2, Bradford 0, Harrogate 1. Matty Daly has scored, and in League 1, Wigan 2, Cambridge 1. The shock of the day in the Premier League at the moment. You take out Brighton at Manchester United, not really a shock these days the way Brighton are going. It's at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. John Southall.
It's to play. Tottenham 0, Sheffield United 1. Tottenham chucking everything at this now as the cross comes over. Perisic, Brennan Johnson has come on to make his debut, and Richarlison is also on. What price for Richarlison equaliser here? Tottenham 0, Sheffield United 1.
And Manchester City in comfortable possession. You're up to date on 5 Live and BBC World Service. 8 minutes to go, plus added time. West Ham have had their chances in the game. You fancy they'll get at least one more. They will have to throw caution to the wind, and they are pressing right now. Manchester City trying to make it 5 wins in a row. West Ham trying to prevent a first Premier League defeat of the season. Which way will it go? It's in the balance on 5 Live. It's been a super game. City in possession with Bernardo Silva on the right hand side. Cuts it back for Nunez, the substitute, who just glides with the ball inside, and they're happy to keep it now, Steve.
Yeah, they are. They know that they've got control of this game. West Ham are back in numbers, bodies behind the ball, but they know that if they want to get back into this game, they're going to have to relinquish that space and them tight lines, but they've got to pick and choose when they're going to do that.
City named 8 substitutes rather than 9, with 2 goalkeepers on the bench in Ortega and Carson. But they are leading. They're in possession. Nunez intercepted by West Ham. Alvarez picks up possession, threads it for Haaland. Byline looked like he might have been offside. Back it goes to Doku, scorer of City's equaliser right at the start of the second half. A lovely finish, which you can see on Match of the Day tonight, and that is a foul which the West Ham fans here in London Stadium don't like, and Manchester City have a free kick, and they'll take their time.
Well, Guardiola there, I thought kudos there. Yeah, he did come through the side of him, a bit too eager to get the ball, took the player first. With Man City now, chance to have a breather, but put a dangerous cross in here. Haaland there, just loitering around, trying to be unnoticed. Maybe he'll bite your arm off for a goal, won't he, today? He's had numerous chances, he's been quite an open play. Body language hasn't been great, but possesses so much quality that he can get on the score sheet.
Kehrer and Ings are going to come on for West Ham shortly. Manchester City in possession with Doku, fought to get the ball back into the penalty area. Goes Doku. Brilliant defending by West Ham and Sofal, who has only really been skinned and beaten once, and that was for the Doku goal right at the start of the second half, when maybe you can just catch a player off guard, and I think that's what happened for the equaliser. As Ederson with his left foot plays it into the feet of Kyle Walker. We mentioned that new contract video earlier on. Steve showed it to me. It's absolutely brilliant. The Wolf of Wall Street.
Great, wasn't it?
I'm still here.
Yeah, it's great. It's when he's on the trading floor doing the speech with the microphone. How they do that with Kyle Walker's face, I don't know. It was absolutely class.
It was so good. Here's Bernardo Silva. He's away for Manchester City. They could wrap it up here. Here's Haaland for 3-1, and he scores. Erling Haaland, 7th of the season, wraps it up for Manchester City. 5 out of 5 for them, and West Ham heading to their first league defeat of the season. His 4th chance, he scores it. It's West Ham 1, Manchester City 3.
And there's me saying that he's not going to get on the score sheet today, but he just keeps going. And that's where Man City are so good, where the game was stretched. West Ham decided to press from the front. They didn't go in numbers, and Man City just picked them off. And it was Bernardo Silva that had 3 or 4 runners around the 18-yard box, and he picked the one that he knew would be most clinical to score. And what a finish there from Haaland. Left foot across Areola into the back of the net. He's been superb today, Areola. He's pulled off so many saves, but not that one.
There's no chance with that one. 2 touches from Haaland. The second, power and pace, and into the corner with his left foot. Manchester City 3-1 up. Reading 1, Bolton 1 in League One. Kilmarnock 2, Hibs 2 in the Scottish Premiership. Wrexham 3, Grimsby 0 in League 2, and let's get an update from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. John Southall.
It's getting spicy. Tottenham 0, Sheffield United 1. Basuma and Bogle just fronting up there on the far side, and that will suit Sheffield United to the ground, wasting the time. Yellow card for Basuma. 5 minutes for Tottenham to try and salvage something from this. Tottenham 0, Sheffield United 1.
To West London, to the Cottage, Henry Moran.
2.5 minutes left of the 90 here. Fulham 1, Luton 0. It should have been all wrapped up. Vinicius, the goal scorer, put through on goal. He took just too long. The ball scrambled away. It remains Fulham 1, Luton 0.
City in possession, halfway line, back it goes to Ederson. Update from Villa Palace, Katie Smith.
Villa 0, Palace 1. You can sense some real anxiety in this stadium. It's Palace who've had the better chances in the last few minutes. Eberechi Eze trying to chip over Martinez, who gets a big hand, palms it away. Villa 0, Palace 1.
Back to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, John Southall.
Brennan Johnson's just put the ball into the roof of the net, but the offside flag was up. I'm sure VAR will take a look at this. He did look offside, and it remains Tottenham 0, Sheffield United 1.
Manchester City lead 3-1 here at the London Stadium. 2 minutes to go plus added time, and they are in possession. They have been terrific in this second half. Steve Sidwell.
They have, and they needed to get that early goal. I'm sure Pep Guardiola would have said, look, we need to get one, and well, goals do change games, but certainly this game here, they got the early goal and they carried on with the pedal down. They went for the second, they went for the third, they've got them, they're in complete control.
Andy Madley has brandished a yellow card for Rodri there after a foul on Kudus, making his home debut, the Ghanaian, for West Ham United. It'll be a free kick for West Ham, about 40 yards from the Manchester City goal. And we are going to see a change for Manchester City. Sergio Gomez is coming on. Let's get an update from the Rugby World Cup. Wales versus Portugal. Chris Jones.
Fantastic support here in Nice. The Welsh have travelled in their numbers to the Côte d'Azur. Much changed side, looking for a comfortable win against Portugal, who are in the tournament for the first time in 16 years and already putting in some big defensive shots. Wales attacking in their own half. Minute or so gone. 0-0. Late change for Wales in the warm-up. Tommy Raffel out. Jack Morgan, the co-captain, in as Wales try and clear their lines.
Aguerd heads over the crossbar for West Ham. It's a goal kick for Manchester City. Forest Green 1, Doncaster 1 in League 2. We've had a red card. Watford versus Birmingham. Flo Pollock.
But Lee Buchanan has been sent off, a second yellow for a pull of the shirt. Watford have 1 minute of normal time then to see if they can make that advantage count. As it stands, Watford 0, Birmingham 0.
Goal at Villa Park, Katie Smith.
Equaliser for the home side, Aston Villa 1, Palace 1, and it's come to substitute John Duran in the area. Thunderbolt into the back of the net. Nothing Sam Johnstone could do about that. It's a big week for the club. They return to European football for the first time in 13 years, and it's level here, 1-1.
The ball hits the back of the net. You hear it here on 5 Live and BBC World Service on the fastest goal service around. 6 minutes of added time at the end of this one as West Ham are trailing Manchester City by 3-1. Manchester City's fans are all standing, pointing and chanting at the West Ham United supporters, many of whom have left.
Yeah, there's some bare spots now around this stadium. West Ham fans was in control of the first half, done well, good game plan, but the quality of Man City let it slip.
It's a lovely interception from Guardiola for Manchester City. Nunez leaves it for Bernardo Silva, scorer of their second goal. Moving forward through the middle. Just to remind you, Villa 1, Palace 1, Fulham 1, Luton 0, Manchester United 1, Brighton 3, Tottenham 0, Sheffield United 1. What a scoreline that would be. And here West Ham 1, Manchester City 3. 5 minutes of added time remaining. Manchester City in possession. Still to come, 6:06, 7:30 with Robbie and Chris. How's it going? Any signs of a Spurs equaliser? John Southall.
They are piling forward, John. Tottenham 0, Sheffield United 1. Richarlison 6 yards out, headed over the bar, and Fodringham has just denied Kulusevski. We wait for the board to go up to see how much added time they're on. 12 minutes. 12 minutes added on for Tottenham here. Tottenham 0, Sheffield United 1.
Wow, we will keep you right on top of that. Port Vale 1, Northampton 0 in League 1. Ross County 1, Livingston 1 in the Scottish Premiership. Swindon 2-0 up against Walsall now. Derby in League One have taken the lead against Portsmouth. James Collins with a penalty with 4 minutes of normal time remaining. QPR 1, Sunderland 3. Barr has scored there. You're up to date on 5 Live. Manchester City cruising to a 3-1 win here. They were 1-0 down at half-time. James Ward-Prowse with a diving header. Goal, Watford, Vicarage Road. Let's go to Flo Pollock.
Watford in front, Malita Rajovic. He's been feeding off scraps all game. First good delivery. He looping, heads it into the back of the net. Watford 1, Birmingham 0.
Elsewhere in the Championship, Blackburn still 2-1 up against Middlesbrough. No goals between Bristol City and West Brom. Huddersfield 2-0 up against Rotherham. Norwich leading by a goal to 0 against Stoke City. Preston, the leaders, 2-1 up against Plymouth. QPR 1, Sunderland 3. Ipswich in the battle of the teams promoted from League One lead at Hillsborough against Sheffield Wednesday 1-0. And as you've just heard there, in the game between Watford, you are up to date. You know the scores because of us here on 5 Live as the ball's chipped over the top, looking for Haaland again, who's got his goals for you. Fantasy football, fantasy Premier League players, if you've stuck the armband on him, he missed some chances, but he's got his goal eventually in League One. Barnsley 2, Burton 0. Derby 1-0 up against Portsmouth. Exeter leading Cheltenham. Oxford 3-0 up at Fleetwood. Lincoln drawing 1-1 with Carlisle. Same scoreline, Peterborough and Leyton Orient. Vale leading Northampton 1-0. Reading 2, Bolton 1. Baltimore 1-0 up. Bristol Rovers 1-0 up at Shrewsbury. Stevenage leading Charlton 1-0. Wigan 2, Cambridge 1. Wickham 2, Blackpool 0. We've got a triple change coming for Manchester City here to eke a few more seconds away. So Rico Lewis is coming on, and Erling Haaland goes off the pitch behind the goal away to our right and is now walking in front of the Manchester City supporters, puts his right arm up and waves and then applauds above his head, cuts the corner by the assistant referee. And I don't know if he doesn't look very happy with his performance on the day, but he's still scored 7 for the season. His record's still ridiculous, Steve Sidwell.
Yeah, I think he wants more, doesn't he? He was limited in open play. West Ham, that's testament to West Ham, the way that they stifled the service into him, but he got his goal.
We've got a minute and a half left of added time. Let's check in at Old Trafford with John Bennett.
We've got 4 minutes left. Fans are leaving in their droves. Manchester United 1, Brighton 3, and Ansu Fati for Brighton has just forced a great save from Andre Onana. Manchester United 1, Brighton 3.
Manchester City looking for a fourth here. We've had the triple change. I'll let you know what the changes were in just a moment. Free kick though for West Ham United. They're running out of time. It's since the third goal that you could see just the effort and just their shoulders went a little bit, didn't it, by West Ham. They just took the wind out of them.
Yeah, they had a little surge to possibly get back into this game, but after a few minutes it was realised that they probably wasn't, and then now it's going to be a case of not conceding anymore rather than trying to score a goal.
So Gomez on for Doku, Ake on for Guardiola, Lewis on for Haaland, and Oscar Bob with his second appearance, the striker. He played a minute of the game in their previous game, the 5-1 win over Fulham. He's on for Bernardo Silva, scorer of the second goal, and Rico Lewis has got it deep in West Ham territory. Foul, free kick for Manchester City with just 30 seconds of added time remaining. Mansfield have equalised at Colchester right at the death, 90+1. Don't forget the Football Daily podcast tomorrow morning with all your reaction, plus more commentaries. Newcastle with John Murray and Pat Nevin on the way for you. Bournemouth, Chelsea tomorrow with Vicky Sparks and Glenn Murray. Everton versus Arsenal, John Murray and Paul Robinson. And if you want to hear all the latest from the F1, the Checkered Flag podcast available on BBC Sounds right now. Sports Report will follow with all the reaction you need. The interviews first, live from the tunnels of the Premier League, and there goes the final whistle. And Manchester City, 5 out of 5, stand on top of the Premier League table. West Ham United's unbeaten start to the season is over. They led at half-time, but West Ham 1, Manchester City 3 is the final score. Let's go to Stevenage.
and Charlie Slater. Where the noise you can hear is from the 1,400 Charlton Athletic fans, because they've just equalised from the spot through Corey Blackett-Taylor in the 91st minute. Their first goal under Michael Appleton. We're into 11 minutes of stoppage time. Stevenage 1, Charlton 1.
Well, the goals as they go in. What an afternoon. From here at the London Stadium, I hand you back to Mark Chapman.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Steve. Bradford have equalised in the 5th minute of second half. Stoppage time at home to Harrogate. Bradford 1, Harrogate 1, and Watford are going to take all 3 points at Vicarage Road. Ryan Andrews has got their second. They lead Birmingham by 2-0. All 3 points for Fulham this afternoon. Henry Moran.
Fulham 1, Luton 0. Substitute Carlos Benicia, second half goal enough for a first home win of the season for Fulham. Luton had their moments, but the home side fully deserving of the victory. For Luton, 4 games, 4 defeats, suggesting this could be a long old season. Fulham 1, Luton 0.
VAR check at Villa. Katie. Can't get Katie at the moment. They're just checking whether there's a penalty or not at Aston Villa. We'll be back there shortly. It would be to Villa, but the referee's still looking at the screen. John Southall at Tottenham.
51 minutes played in this second half. Remember, 12 minutes added on. Tottenham 0, Sheffield United 1. Tottenham just pushing everything forward now, trying to get this equalising goal. Richarlison headed over. Kulusevski also denied. They've got time still, but it's Tottenham 0, Sheffield United 1.
Back to Katie. I think the ref's about to make his decision.
Yeah, sorry about that. So
Sorry.
it's Villa 1, Palace 1. Ollie Watkins taken down in the area, given as a penalty by Darren England. VAR checked immediately. Looked like Chris Richards may have got to the ball, and England has stood in front of this screen. I have it at almost 2 minutes now. I don't know if there's a technical issue. I've got him on my replay screen as well. He is talking down his line. Right, he turns his back to the screen, comes back onto field. He has given the penalty. He has given the penalty to Aston Villa. We are in the 6th minute of 9 added on. It is 1-1.
Oh, and we've lost Katie right at a crucial moment. I'll keep an eye on that. Brighton have thumped Manchester United. John Bennett.
It's finished Manchester United 1, Brighton 3. The 4th time in a row that Brighton have beaten United. Former Red Danny Welbeck made it 1-0 first half from close range. Second half, you expected a response. It didn't happen. Pascal Gross, then João Pedro, the sub, stunned Old Trafford. The young sub Hannibal gave United hope with his first goal for the club, but a late rally never arrived. We want our football back is the chant from the fans. Manchester United 1, Brighton 3.
I think that psychologist might already be earning his money. John Southall.
Would you believe it? Tottenham 1, Sheffield United 1. We said what price a Richarlison goal? Well, he's just ghosted into the 6-yard box and headed in the equaliser. Richarlison with it, and there's still time. Tottenham 1, Sheffield United 1.
Ball on the spot at Villa. Fingers crossed. Katie's there.
Douglas Luiz standing over this ball. Sam Johnston in lime green in front of him, looking tall in front of the whole 10. Douglas Luiz takes big steps backwards. He pauses, arms outstretched from Johnston, now jogging on the line. It's 1-1 here. Can Villa take the lead? Douglas Luiz, stuttered run up, puts it home into the left hand side of the goal. He runs to the whole end. Villa 2, Palace 1. We're into the 7th minute of 9 added on.
Palace complaining that a Villa player encroached as well, so goodness knows what might happen there. Well, they will look at it, I suppose, but at the moment the penalty stands and Villa lead Palace by 2-1. Final whistle has gone at Deepdale. Shojo Saka.
It's finished Preston 2, Plymouth 1. A very lively second half. Plymouth got one back. Brad Potts hit the post for Preston. Plymouth a bit unlucky to lose this, but Preston march on. It's 16 points out of 18 and they are back on top of the championship.
Thank you very much. Full time at Watford. Home side have got all 3 points. Flo Pollock.
Watford 2, Birmingham 0. The first a header from Milita Rajovic, 3 goals in 3 games for him. The second, Ryan Andrews' deflected shot, which sealed all 3 points. Birmingham's Buchanan sent off for a second yellow. Full time, Watford 2, Birmingham City 0.
Next to Carrow Road, Aaron Paul.
Norwich 1, Stoke 0. Jack Stacey's first goal in 3.5 years wins this for the home side in what was a really busy game. Stoke pushed for an equaliser. Dwight Gale missing a point-blank chance with the last kick of the game. 4 defeats in 5 league games now for the visitors. Norwich 1, Stoke 0.
Blackburn have beaten Middlesbrough 2-1. Ended goalless between Bristol City and West Brom. Huddersfield 2, Rotherham 0 is how it finished. They're still playing at QPR and they trail Sunderland by 3-1. 1, and they're still playing at Hillsborough as well. Chris Coles.
They are. Ipswich leading Sheffield Wednesday by 1-0. The advantage should be greater. Devis Vasquez in the Sheffield Wednesday goal, making 3 terrific saves.
I'm just going to jump in, Chris, because at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, John Southall.
Unbelievable! Tottenham 2, Sheffield United 1. Kulusevski with the goal, deep into added time, 12 yards out, and he thumped it in. Richarlison with the assist, Kulusevski with the goal, 2 goals in added time, and this place, it's absolute bedlam. Tottenham 2, Sheffield United 1.
And Paul Heckingbottom, John, can only look on and watch.
And you have to feel for the Sheffield United fans away to my left-hand side. They have been terrific this afternoon. And when that 12 minutes of added time went up, they must have groaned. Richarlison did so well. Just watching the replay now, Kulusevski got it onto his right boot and he thumped it in front of the massive stand away to the right-hand side. Wow, what a finish.
And whilst there's been another goal at Tottenham, there's been another goal at Villa Park. Katie Smith.
It's wrapped up. Villa 3, Palace 1. Villa Park is erupting. Late drama here after all that penalty nonsense. And then Diaby, who was overruled a goal in the first half because of VAR surging down the left, takes it into Leon Bailey, who's waiting on the right-hand side of the area. Easy put away from close range. Aston Villa 3, Palace 1. We're into the 11th minute of stoppage time now.
In League One, Barnsley have beaten Burton. Finished all square between Derby and Portsmouth. Exeter beat Cheltenham. Oxford won 3-0 at Fleetwood. Lincoln, Carlisle, Peterborough, Leyton Orient all square in those 2 games. Port Vale beat Northampton. Reading have come from behind. They lead Bolton 2-1. They're still playing there. Shrewsbury 0, Bristol Rovers 2. All square between Stevenage and Charlton, though they're still playing. And wins for Wigan and Wickham. Chris Coles, can you remember where you were up to? Seems like a long time ago.
It does seem a long time ago. Events elsewhere far more exciting than here, so there's not much more to add. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Ipswich 1. The home side yet to muster a shot on target. We have 3 minutes of stoppage time to play. Hillsborough emptying. It's Wednesday 0, Ipswich 1.
Middlesbrough's poor start to the season continues. Nesta McGregor.
Yeah, but if you look at it the other way, a day that began with celebration ends the same way for the home side. Blackburn Rovers 2, Middlesbrough 1. Remember, this was league game number 5,000 for Rovers, and Sammy Smodic second and proved to be the winner is worthy of such an occasion. A powerful half volley from outside the box into the top left-hand corner. But as you mentioned, Michael Carrick's team still without a win this season, bottom of the table. Rovers 2, Middlesbrough 1.
In the Scottish Premiership today, St Johnstone 0, Rangers 2, Hearts 2, Aberdeen 0, Kilmarnock 2, Hibs 2, Motherwell 0, St Mirren 1. Still playing at Ross County. They're level at 1-1 with Livingston. And at Celtic, Connie McLaughlin.
It finished Celtic 3, Dundee 0. Celtic looking much more creatively like themselves, especially in the second half, Mark, it's got to be said. David Turnbull scored from a penalty, and a Kyogo and Matt O'Reilly strike is what sent the fans home happy. I also think, and I suspect, the return of Rio Hatate from injury cannot be underestimated. He's brought energy and that magic, that certain je ne sais quoi, if you like, that they've been missing since Ange Postecoglou left the building. It finished in Glasgow, Celtic 3, Dundee 0.
Reading have beaten Bolton by 2-1. I think there's been a red card at Tottenham, has there, John Southall?
McBurney's been sent off for a second yellow card, so he has gone. He's having a word with his manager now. We'll have to see a replay of that one. We have played 13 minutes of added time. I think we'll have a few more minutes for the celebration and the time it took for us to kick off after that second goal. But it is still vibrant in here.
I've got Sports Report to do, and we've got Newcastle Brentford at 5:30. Let's go to Stevenage. They're still playing there. Charlie Slater.
We are indeed. It's 1-1. We're in the 101st minute, and Alex McDonald is through on goal. He tries to cut it back, but there's nobody there for Stevenage. Charlton will hack it clear. Michael Appleton will breathe a huge sigh of relief. If it stays this way, Charlton will pick up their first away point of the season. You don't get this sort of drama inside the Five Live studio, so who can blame Appleton for taking to the touchline once more? It's 1-1. We're nearly at full time. We're all exhausted.
Are you at full time, Chris Temple?
Yes, indeed we are here. Mark Gillingham have won by 2-1. They go back to the top of League Two, and they've won by a scoreline that hasn't been 1-0. Latchley and Mahoney in the first half for them, either side of Michael Mellon's lobbed equaliser. Mellon also hit the bar, then got sent off in the second half, which was largely a non-event. So yes, you heard it right. Gillingham won and scored more than one. They leapfrog Notts County and go back top.
Elsewhere, Accrington have beaten Sutton by 4-1. Bradford 1, Harrogate 1, Colchester 1, Mansfield 1, Crawley have beaten Tranmere Tranmere 3-2, Doncaster 1 at Forest Green Rovers, Stockport at MK Dons, Newport 1, Barrow 1, Swindon 2, Walsall 0 and Wrexham 3, Grimsby 0 in League 2. They are still playing at Tottenham and they are still playing at Villa as we wait for the final whistles. Has it gone at Tottenham, John Southall?
It has gone. Tottenham 2, Sheffield United 1. Wow, what a breathless finish. Just to remind you what happened earlier on, Hamer gave Sheffield United the lead in the 73rd minute. Then Richarlison in the 97th minute. Richarlison, of all people, after the problems and difficulties that he has had this week, headed in from 6 yards out. The place absolutely erupted. Then 2 minutes later, in the 99th minute, Richarlison the supply line, Kulusevski with the finish, and Bedlam inside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Tottenham 2, Sheffield United 1.
They are happy inside that stadium. Well, the majority of them are at the very least. Still going at Villa, Katie.
We're in the 106th minute. It's Aston Villa 3, Crystal Palace 1. The Palace end, the away end, absolutely empty. Unai Emery losing his mind on the touchline right now. It's got so scrappy. I think both sets of players just want this to end. Perhaps we all do. Villa 3, Palace 1.
They're still going at Stevenage. Charlie.
It's actually just finished now, Mark. Stevenage 1, Charlton 1. Stevenage off the top, but it's probably about right in the end. Well on top in the first half, deserved their 1-goal lead from Jamie Reid, but Michael Appleton's first half-time team talk sparked Charlton into life. Better after the break, more chances. Stevenage failed to kill them off. They'll curse themselves. A 91st minute penalty scored by Corey Taylor-Blackett, earning Charlton their first away point of the season. It's finished 1-1.
Thank you, Charlie. Good afternoon, I'm Mark Chapman. You're listening to BBC Radio 5 Live at 7 minutes past 5 o'clock, and this is Sports Report. In the early game, it finished Wolves 1, Liverpool 3. And then at 3 o'clock, Aston Villa 3, Crystal Palace 1, Fulham 1, Luton 0, Manchester United 1, Brighton 3, Tottenham 2, Sheffield United 1, and Manchester City came from a goal down to win 3-1 at West Ham.
Pep Guardiola is here. Congratulations. Very interesting game, and at the end of it, you emerged with the result you would have wanted.
Yeah, definitely. It was a really good game, 90 minutes or 96 where they play. In the first half, even losing, we were really, really good. It's so difficult to create chance against them because they defend so deep, and after transition are really good with ball and with Antonio. Paqueta is an exceptional player, and after, 1-0 down is so difficult, but we've spoken half time, so this is the challenge. So when we want everything, we need this time of challenges to see how we are still as a team. And the second half was quite similar in the first, the difference that we scored. And West Ham had maybe more chances in the second half than the first. They didn't score. So it's football, but really happy.
It is the great cliche that goals change games, but to score a goal so early in the second half really changed the momentum, didn't it?
Definitely. I remember when the year 2 years ago when we came here to the previous last game for the season before Aston Villa, and we were losing 2-0 in the half time, and we scored 1-2. But the restart in the second half was quite similar. Of course, helps. Absolutely helps.
Is it as manager, is it a bit like a chess game, this? Because they're setting themselves up to try and frustrate you, and you have to work your way around them. Is that how you view it?
Just football is just to say, in football, you lose games during the game. Can happen. The problem is how you react on that. Don't not regret each other. Push each other for another level. This is what you have to do and try it. So I said to halftime, what do you expect? I went to win all the games 4-0 in the halftime. So it happened 1,000 million times that we are behind. So, okay, try to do it again until the end and we'll see what happens. And as always, the team respond well.
For 5 Live, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Pep Guardiola live on Sports Report with Andy Gillies.